another member going down for Red Canids. So now it's just back down to Haspu, who's going to be playing the backside of that. If he goes for a res onto this, we might actually see Milk be able to take them down. Meanwhile, Ace trying to make a little bit of a push forward. Find the right angle to approach onto this. And yep, gonna walk up and say, hey, thanks, buddy. I'm gonna go ahead and take that one.
Heartbreaking for the Red Canids. They were in such a prolonged battle with 4AM. They didn't really expect someone to be behind them. Milk is able to clean it up and get some more big points for his team. Kale under fire. Milk is now trying to get into Gen G. He's
See
trying
what
to
you
get
can get
onto Esther.
At this point, you're just playing with anything that you want to go for. ZGG walking up right next to Ace. Gonna go ahead and throw down the grenade. Kale managed to get one back out of it, and now we can see a lot of damage coming back over to Ace. They have nowhere to go. They're pincer between so many positions.
Mickey is trying to hold down the line for Ace. They had no idea 4AM was coming up over that hill as they tried to push into the surviving member of Force. A grenade comes up and over. ZG looking to get the peek onto Mickey. He is going to get it. That is going to be Entis Ace down in 4th place.
4 Angry Men has a grenade that drops back over towards him, but they should be able to get this res off. Really, it's just Genji's Loki and Milk who's still alive that they have to contend with. We're now down to 5, and it's 3 up for 4 Angry Men and 2 solos.
I mean, this is looking like it could be the second win of the day for this team from China. They are playing absolutely out of their minds right now.
Look at the points so far. 37 that they've managed to stack up. These guys are just murdering everything in the lobby. Loki, got to figure out how he's going to handle this position. Really, Milk hasn't even made it into the safe zone yet, but Loki looks like he's going to be the front man pushing back over towards ZGG. ZGG has to be very cautious on this. Milk's going to opt into playing back down towards the west and the south, so might be able to find another sneaky little angle.
Well, the real question here is Loki. He came up big for Gen G when they needed him most. It is starting to get desperate for them. This is going to be 3 more games after this left for them, and here comes a great grenade from ZGG. That might be right on the money.
Oh, he narrowly survives that. It's going to bounce away from him. Will the next one connect? I think it's cooked well enough. And yes, there you go. That's another 4 Angry Men. Team elimination coming up, so now it's just down to Milk.
All right, Milk, let's see what you've got. You've done a fantastic job to get here. Can you close it out and give Chinese Taipei a win?
Oh.
There's Louis, spotted him out, and
no! 4 Angry Men walking away with another round victory. Everything today is showing up China.
They have dominated Erangel today. There are a ton of fans here in support of them. You can hear them. They are happy. This has been an impressive performance, a nice bounce back from what was a difficult start for them in this tournament.
I venture to say that this is much more of the 4 Angry Men everybody was expecting to see. Assert control. Don't be afraid of fights. Move aggressively. These guys play into all those, and ZGG walking away that round with 6 kills of his own.
It's really impressive movement from them. Forever knowing that he's in a bit of a tricky situation down on the beach, rotates up with the rest of his team. They catch Entis Ace completely off guard and move on to storm the lobby.
Say what you will, all about 4 Angry Men, but in my heart, AHQ's Milk. Somehow he manages to, remember, he was by himself. The first 3 deaths were AHQ, and he somehow salvages that to get second?
Really impressive stuff from him.
Yes.
I mean, that is God tier survivability. It's almost impossible to do in competitive PUBG because of how good all these teams are.
And he only got 1 kill, but man, did he get probably the most annoying kill coming up in that one. Everybody's had it happen to them where you're just kind of playing that position. You're like, oh, we're safe. There's nobody back behind us. Let me go for the rest of my teammate. And just this random guy's like, nah.
Yeah, there was this little dip that you couldn't see that was just outside the blue, and I was there waiting, and now I'm going to dash your hopes for having any chance of winning this game. Too bad.
It happens to the best of us, but with this, there's a lot to break down inside that last game. So let's go ahead and throw it over to the analyst desk.
Has he been commentating in those sunglasses this whole time? But regardless, it does not matter. We have our 3 Erangel games down and 3 Erangel games dominated by China. 4 Angry Men take the next chicken dinner for themselves. There's been 3 games. They have taken 2 of them. Who is going to put a stop to 4 Angry Men? They are on a rampage.
I mean, I don't know who puts a stop to them. Like, that was out of control. That fight they took up against Ace and Force, they just completely eradicated them. Some of the best cooked grenades I've ever seen. These guys are pure chefs. And also those peaks over the top of the hill were just dominant.
I mean, you saw them all the way doing the 2-1 split all the time. 2 pushing, 1 holding, 1 pushing, 2 holding. Make sure that they're splitting up, taking the ground and taking control over the east side there.
They're not just angry, they're furious. And Set GG, it's absolutely insane. 6 kills in this game, guys.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Very, very big. Let's take a look at the highlights here for our final Erangel game of the day as we see China continuing to dominate for Angry Men with the win. But this was one of the big factors early on. Seongjiang getting himself this first knock and then into flush and then outplaying up on the top of the building. That was fantastic.
We didn't catch it here, but he pre-nated the stairs on the whole room and then smoked afterwards to reposition. That's such a good play from him.
Very well done.
This pull-up here from Na'Vi, though, nice thinking, but poor execution here. They didn't breach in the same area and didn't push together here on the stairs. There should have been 2 there. Lamba was down to 1 HP in the end. Africa Freaks here, they managed to take down Na'Vi.
I mean, it was a good Freaks push. Once the firefight started, they used sound cover to just get inside. They didn't lose anybody during that exchange, so very, very well executed. Up on top, we saw Rumblers. They cleared out what FaZe was trying to hold up here, and they had to deal with Gen G from behind. So Rumblers were able to put a couple kills on the board, but ultimately they went out very early and have had kind of a rough day today.
Yeah, I mean, but Gen G coming back a little bit, but it wasn't enough to take it all the way. And, I mean, they got a little bit spoiled by Milk towards the end as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a low-key sneak up from Gen G. They managed to pin them out, and it got them deeper in the game, so congratulations to them. They ended up with 3rd place and 2nd. Genesis fighting inside the warehouse. We saw them bump up against Ghost, I think, in here, and it just became too much to handle.
Yeah, I mean, they were outside the circle. They kind of drew this fight out a little bit too long, and in the end, the blue came to just sweep it up.
Yeah. Ghost got the kills, and ultimately Ghost got the res, and then made the sacrifices. There's no way you cross that river safely with 4AM where they were, so they just took the kills for themselves.
And this, though, with Milk taking the last kill, but there's three teams that are shooting against Red, and they actually had a really good spot. I thought they were gonna probably win this game here if they didn't get spoiled like that.
I mean, Red literally played, I thought, positionally for a long time superior to any other team on the map, and then Milk shakes it up and catches them, causes some big problems, and Red ultimately gets taken down. 4AM plays out of their mind, and that's a twofer.
End me. Let's move on to the map now as we have Erangel here once again for the final time of the day. As we see that plane path heading over from the west side to the east, and across this as a whole, it allowed people to drop near where the circle ended up going to, but obviously the river causes big problems for those teams trying to rotate when you have to have that 50-50 split.
Well, before the river, we have a little bit of shake-up. FaZe didn't get Milta power. Africa Freaks Fatality took that, and they had FaZe had to go to Milta instead of Milta power. Now, Rumblers, though, they didn't want to fight over there as well, so they went to Gatka. But here we see Red Canids, Entusace, and 4AM's rotation. And look at 4AM. They basically, them and Red Canids didn't need to rotate as much. Force, on the other hand, they were all over the place.
I mean, my big worry here is, like, as we look at this closing, that circle going north hurt a lot of people, but FaZe, you just talked about them. They played 3 games. We thought they were going to come out and crush. They finished 11th, 12th, and then they got 1/3, but only with 2 kills. Where's FaZe?
The thing is, FaZe had a really good rotation coming in from the south side. They went out in the blue towards Yasnaya, up on the north side, and basically had a lot of room to play with. But they seem to be a little bit afraid. They're super passive. They're not taking fights they usually take. They're staying behind all the time.
And this is what comes with being behind from day number one, going into day number 2, not playing for day number 1. I'm excited to see what's going to happen on Sanhok. Potentially they could be contested there as well, and now that they're even further behind technically, they could be contested. I'm not sure if they're going to try to go Painan. I know, though, they will be alone in Montenegro, so I expect some big games from them on Miramar.
This was a great push. 4AM was just hungry for the final. They knew exactly where he was. They were like, all right, once we get through this team, it's just a simple walk for us to go ahead and get rid of Milk. Milk knew it was coming.
One thing to take away from today's games compared to yesterday on Erangel is that Genesis and Entus Force, they were basically fighting in Pachinki today. They didn't yesterday because they know whoever's winning, getting out of here, they're going to get Pachinki for the finals.
That's a good point.
20 points coming in for 4 Angry Men up at the top. Not only the 10 kills, but the 10 placement points as well. So huge points have been racked up by them already after just 3 games alone. And when you think about the performances that they have already put up here, you think they have the potential to go all the way. This lobby is by no means easy. Not at all, but they have shown on Erangel they're a dominant force.
4AM is a dominant force in the pick'ems. They're a dominant force in the games. They're a dominant force in the audience here watching them today.
Oh, yeah.
And they're a dominant force on this scoreboard as they put up the 45. I think they're maybe 20 from a guaranteed advancement at this point.
45 points is the same amount of points that Force got yesterday in 6 games. Here we are after halfway through.
Yeah.
And Criminal was at 45. It's insane. They're going to make a game break, or they're going to break the record in terms of most points in a day for 6 games.
So the People's Champ here so far, 4 Angry Men. They sit at the top here. SK Telecom T1 in second place with that 26.
Here we go.
Here is our overall leaderboard. Now, do bear in mind, some of these teams have played a few more games than some of the other ones here. So you have to take this with a pinch of salt for now. However, we can see as some of these teams from Group C are starting to catch up. And when you look at 4 Angry Men in 7th place, that's a big catch-up already.
I mean, it's like, if 4 Angry Men looks like, you're like, oh, I assume the left side's already played 12 games. Now, 4AM has played 3, and they're in 7th place. That is absolutely crazy. Rumblers is still holding 2nd, but guess what? We're going to Sandhawk next, boys. So that's going to keep on sliding.
And also, Force and Genesis, they're 6 points apart. We're going to be following these guys throughout the rest of the day. It's going to be extremely exciting if they're going to be dropping each other and contesting, basically.
Rumblers have been a little bit disappointing today. Only 8 points in 3 games so far. And as you mentioned, going into Sandhawk, I mean, are they going to get any points here?
I mean, I'm going to say, Bo, you got Ghost on the very bottom in 24. They've had their 3 games. They showed us these signs of life in sort of the early rounds. And now, I don't know, it's same as FaZe. Like this, maybe the break, the 7 days, maybe Rumblers is onto something. They said we played in Illums on purpose. Maybe it worked.
Do you know what time it is?
Yes.
Yes, he does.
It's time to listen in to the comps of 4 a.m.
Oh my God, never let him do it again.
Yeah,
OK， 王哥已经往他们脸上拉了，王哥往他们脸上拉了。走，来看王哥位置，看王哥位置，王哥就往他们脸上拉了。王哥那边我们先解决 HQ 了，来帮王哥。行。他应该在后面那个坡，不听他讲出来。小罗，啊，没，还在那，他还在那边，先帮王哥清白。他没过来。王可以扔个雷啊，队友可以帮你架，你直接吸起来吧。对，跟后面那个坡，对，后面那个坡。我好去这边这个坡了，这个雷应该有。再人远一点，王哥，再人远一点。对，压，王子压。这边，哎，这个，最后一个，我脸上这个海坡。来个人跟我，等一下，我跟不上，找一下，但是。
Calm, collected, the People's Champs. If you were listening very closely to those comms, you could even hear the crowd erupt whilst those fights were going on. If you noticed at the very end, whilst they were shooting down at their final target, there was a grenade being cooked to then potentially finish off that person anyway. 4 a.m. in the first 3 games. I mean, it looked stellar.
I also loved it the first time we saw the replay. Forever was making all the calls, and this time he was dead silent. That team is clearly, whoever's in the pole position and feels like they've got the rhythm, they're just trusting them to sort of make those plays and call out for the rest of the team. And I thought that was very impressive.
I mean, you could hear it straight away when they killed Loki there.
Yeah.
They were basically just push or whatever. Something like that, at least. You could hear it in how intensive it was. They just wanted to take control of that, make sure that they wouldn't just throw the game there.
One thing I'm taking away from these comps, though, guys, is one universal positive thing to say is "nice-oo," but we didn't get in this one. And now it's because they're already a little bit, maybe not as much as before. They're already expecting it, and now they're this much ahead. We're gonna see them continue. They're gonna be extremely aggressive for the rest of the day as well.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It is time. We are going on to Sandhawk now here in Groups B and C. Let's head over to codename Matrim with his lovely friend over there, Mr. Paperthin. It's time, boys. Let's go.
Thank you so much, and Avenger headed on the head. We've got 4 Angry Men, one of the most aggressive teams in the world, now feeling very comfortable in their points for the day, which means now they can play even more aggressive. And I gotta say, that's a fun thing to look forward to.
I mean, they're absolutely dominating this lobby right now. Almost 20 points ahead of the next closest team.
Almost double the points of the team that's in second place off of point generation for the day.
That's messed up.
Damn, that's all I can say.
They are incredible right now, feeling it, so confident, knowing the situation so well. A great job there at the end of that game, knowing that that hill was about the only place where anybody else could be. Just throw some grenades over it, find that first pick, clean it up, you're done, you get the win. And now it's time for Sandhawk, and this guy, you're looking sharp.
I gotta say, I think you hit the nail on the head there. The way that they played the end of that last game was so clinical. Their aggression comes from map knowledge. They know how to push. They know where people are probably going to be hiding. They know where people are going to set up, and then they use that information to get so many kills.
It reminds me of what TSM was doing yesterday. I said it on the cast. I thought they just know. where everybody is. And I said it behind the scenes. I'm like, well, maybe they've got a little something going on. No, it comes down to homework. They know.
Yeah.
They know what's going on. They know how these maps work. They've studied the heck out of all of these teams. They've watched tons of VODs, tons of replays. That is why they're able to do the things they do.
And T1 making their way over towards Sanhok as well. They've been a very consistent team, but they just haven't been as loud and as explosive as some of these other teams. That feels like that's kind of their play style right now.
Well, this is a map. If T1 can do it, it is going to be on Sanhok. During the first 3 games of Sanhok in the PKL, they won 2 of them, and they absolutely slaughtered teams. They were picking up 17, 15, 13 kills. They were absolutely dominating. Now, they started to trail off as the phase went on. So can they find that rhythm they used to have?
Here's the thing. We've seen very aggressive Erangel games, which tends to be one of the more passively played games because everybody just knows it so well. Now we're moving over towards Sanhok, and that means that aggression is king there, and so now it's going to be a lot of third parties. It's going to be a lot of checking this. I cannot wait to see some of the shots that we're going to see inside this next round. With this group specifically, it's going to be nuts.
I mean, this is going to be an incredible game on Sanhok. WClick still playing very, very well. Started off strong. That last game wasn't quite as in their favor as the first 2, but they have a lot of potential here. They've started strong. Can they continue that? And the region as a whole, Lat AM, I think a lot of people, like I said earlier, weren't too keen on it. What can they bring us on this map?
I mean, these guys want to play for the pride of their region. Whenever you're looking at Latin America, these guys have so much pride just in their location and the way they play. They have their own little variations in the meta they play. I know it was heartbreaking to watch them and Red Canids fight inside that last game because that just kind of tears your heart apart. I feel you, Latin America. Welcome to be what it's like to be a North American cast where you're just like, why are you killing each other?
I had to get you in on that Genesis Ghost fight with that. I had to poke you just a little bit there. These guys, infantry, have had an okay start as well. They really need to pick it up, of course. And if they can, I tell you what a storyline we will have.
All right, well, the plane is up and in the air, and we are making our way over towards Sanhok, and that's where the violence is going to be kicking off. Plane path, cutting right through the middle of the map. Nothing too crazy inside of this one. I mean, again, I say it all the time, it's a Sanhok map. You can really just go wherever you want based off the plane path. It's more about congestion points, and is anybody going to land close to each other, especially when we're looking towards the edges of the map, because sometimes teams can make gambles and say, there's a chance that the circle might go to this island, specifically the northwestern one, and suddenly you have great position.
Yeah, we still haven't had that northwestern circle, and if you're a fan of the gambler's fallacy, now might be the time to try to go for it, and we will wait and see who exactly will be the ones to try to swallow that particular pill. You can see a lot of teams already making their way out. You can see Genesis heading out over there, potentially VC going over that way as well. Of course, the Rumblers, and they were going Ruins, but now it's Red Canids. They have the same color that Rumblers had yesterday. So it's like, hey, green, that must be the Rumblers. No.
4 Angry Men going to actually do a split around Quarry. I like this. Hold down different points around this location. Nobody wants to go down into Quarry yet because it slows you down so much. And it's just a pit of death, really. At any given stage of the game, somebody could just be hiding around so many different angles. But it's a little bit risky going for the split out. But there's a lot of space. Really, the closest player to them, I would say right now, is actually FaZe, who has sent FuzzFaze to that one building while the rest have gone over towards Painan.
Yeah, it looks like FaZe is really trying to control a lot of that western part of the main island. There might be a little bit of contention between Entis Force and the Rumblers, but we're going hard north. Looks like we're going to have another northern circle on this map.
I like it. A lot of teams that went up towards the north could be favorable. We could see potentially a little bit of that western island coming into play, as well as there's going to be where Ghost and Na'Vi are positioned at. Force is caught up and doing a little bit of looting right now. They're back down towards the south. So that means that they do have Rumblers around their location. They also have 4 Angry Men kind of close. There's a lot of these teams that are going to have to make a little bit more of an aggressive move. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them move early as well, just due to how north the circle is.
It is a brutal circle. There are a lot of teams on the southern part. You've got Infantry, FaZe, Afrika Freaks, Fatal, the Red Canids, the Rumblers, Entis Ace. Everybody is down underneath this circle right now, and there is going to be a lot of congestion trying to get up.
So with this, Na'Vi getting control over the split right where the 3 rivers meet gives them a lot of control over the situation depending on how rotations come into play right now. FuzzFace is going to go ahead and meet up with the rest of his teammates, still finding another complex all to his own that he can just continue this loot. I gotta say, FaZe feels like they have so much control over so many loot nodes in this drop.
Yeah, really well planned out by them. This is going to give FuzzFace all the equipment he needs with the other 3 members in Painan, so they should be pretty well equipped for themselves. Here comes Infantry up and over. The Rumblers and Entis Force are all kind of in this general area as they all want to get up into this circle as fast as they can.
Microfry could find himself in a dangerous spot. You can see Kale is looking back over towards those complexes. Infantry is coming on another path. He's separated out away from the other three members. There is the river that's going to be in between them that can provide a little bit of support, but nobody really has clean sight lines back down on this hill movement. So with this, Infantry is just going to continue their push back over towards this. Meanwhile, Rumblers are still looking like they're trying to gather a little bit of information. Microfry doesn't seem to be aware of anything that's happening, and due to the terrain, look at how close Longsker has already gotten.
Look at this. Longsker knows somebody is going to be in this building. Microfry crosses in front of him. He's going to get the spray down, and he's going to get the knock and the flush onto Microfry.
That's an easy pickup off of that. None of the other Rumblers even in a position that they can retaliate at all. Cherry Poppins might be able to shoot a couple of toes of Longsker, but that's going to be about it. So now Rumblers have to figure out what they want to do. And keep in mind, we're still seeing this very separated out force right now. There's two members towards the north, and there's actually another member back down towards the south of Rumblers while we see Infantry taking these shots.
Yeah, the other two members of Entis Force have loaded up in a vehicle, are going to try to regroup with the other members, and it's going to be really difficult for them. There's a lot of teams controlling the bridges on the way over. Now, actually, what's funny is they could actually go through Painan if they go a little bit more west here on the outside of Bolyang and Longsker. So, will they do that, or are they just going to drive right into death?
This is very dangerous. Longsker should have an angle in a second. The spray's going to come out as the vehicle just rolls down the hillside, catches a little bit of air, just trying to get away. Use the terrain, use the hills, use the trees. Cut across this, making a dangerous push over this bridge, just trying to make it back over there. So has to be super cautious on those vehicles getting close to exploding. They're just going to jump off the side of it. One of them does manage to make it in the water, but Doya does not.
Doya once again getting caught out early for Entis Force through not a ton of fault of his own this time. Kale has found the rock. Now the Rumblers are on the eastern side of Kale right now. Are they going to come in and try to third party this, potentially pick up some desperately needed points on this map?
Infantry looks like they're going for a reposition, sending several members off the other side of this, seeing if maybe they can find another angle back over towards Kale. You can see how it's starting to get set up in this position. Kale's got a little bit of support from Indigo, but he's already been spotted out. Smokes and utility already having to be used right now is actually a very bad thing.
Yeah, not the start you want as Entis Force. Of course, Indigo doing a great job here, covering the angle, getting Kale up and over, and now they're going to be able to move on. It looks like relatively safely. There might be a few more pot shots coming in here from Infantry, but I think the angle has been cut off.
Rumblers are set up on this. Look, you can see that everybody's trying to regroup from Force. That's going to be another loss back over towards them as Rumblers do manage to pick that up. Now down to 2 members. Force is finding themselves sandwiched between 2 aggressive teams.
This was a nice play by the Rumblers. A good job moving up and ahead, finding Sungjong, getting the angles on him, making it a quick, clean, easy kill for themselves. Here is Infantry. They have pushed up to the southern part of Painan. Longsker trying to get some shots into Kale and Indigo as they continue to make their dash away.
See, Longsker is going for a wide peek onto that. Kale gets a little bit of damage back on this, trying to just get a little bit more space, making the crossover into this. He's gonna go down as well. Good shots coming from Lin, and then there was just one, but guess what? Rumbler's still here, this going on, pushing back over towards it. Now we got FaZe and 4AM starting to mix it up.
This is a huge fight right now for FaZe Clan. They have to try to bully 4AM off this position and put them back down a little bit. Their astronomical start to the day has been incredible. 4AM forever trying to get that QBZ shot up and over. Not much doing. Uba's going to throw down some grenades.
The contain. Look at Lou on the backside of it. Does manage to line up. It's going to be Fuzzface down and flushed. Looking back on the other angle for this, we got FaZe and finding themselves in a very bad spot. Force does get eliminated while this is going on. Now FaZe trying to figure out, okay, damage control. Get a little bit more information, but it's just going to be so hard for them as every single angle seems to have a 4AM member behind it.
And once again, it's Na'Vi catching FaZe out on this map. They are going to find another member here. One down for them again. It is 8C going, so it is just Mexi left.
He's way up towards the north of this, looking back over towards it. I believe he's already been spotted out. You can see the information getting fed over towards it, just trying to at least get this flush onto it. FaZe wants to at least get a point for all this trouble. They are going to get it, but at what cost? There is an unstoppable 4 Angry Men push that is just so aggressive coming up back behind him. He's trying to get away. The spray is coming through back over towards it. He tries to get some damage back onto it, somehow surviving out in the open, trying to hold back forever, but it's not going to matter in the end as 4 Angry Men takes down FaZe real early.
4AMs forever, just able to outduel Mexi there, and that is going to be another huge kill points for them. They continue to rack up in this lobby.
Four Angry Men is the raid boss of this lobby. It feels like no one can take them down. All these other fan favorites, all these other predictions, it's just 4 AM just walking through this lobby right now.
It's amazing what they're doing. This is one of the most impressive displays of skill and ability we have seen in competitive PUBG to date. Moving over with Ghost and VC. Ghost has VC pretty well trapped inside of this ditch on the coast, and they are looking to continue their blockade.
They've got 2 members that are already set up inside the safe zone. This is just a contain. VC's trying to make it back over towards the safe zone, but Ghost has just got them blocked out right now. No easy path. You can see that VC was hoping that they could play along the coastline, maybe find some kind of weak angle off on it. HQ gets some shots back over towards Ace, and it looks like it's a lot of trouble for everything that's going to be any of the OG and Intas teams right now.
Look at this positioning from CC, right in the middle of all of Ace, and gets 3 members, but Afaka, he does find Milk. Can he find another? He does! He's going to outduel SR, get another big point for his team. He hasn't been able to flush Milk yet. Milk has managed to find an angle to hide himself, cooking a grenade, bouncing it around the corner. Nobody's pushed in yet, though.
With this, not a lot of flushes have gone back over towards Ace yet. So if we can see Alfaka manage to somehow hold this together, there might be a chance they could save 1, maybe even 2 of his teammates. CC knows where it's at, throws in the flash beginning, steps up into it, tries to go for it, but no, it's gonna be AHQ that comes out on top.
Alpaca just wasn't able to pull the trigger quite fast enough. What a performance from CC. He kills all 4 members of Intas Ace.
There's death and destruction happening all around the map, and then there's Gen G just chilling out right now, trying to get a little bit more information. You can see PO's looking back over towards this, heard about all the violence that was going on, seeing maybe he can pick up a free point out of it. Infantry's continuing their push back along the south, moving along that quarry line. But a lot of our teams kind of stabilized at this point. Not also, a lot of teams are not playing towards the center. It's kind of an off-center position, and I think that's awareness, knowing the fact that everything's going to start trying to shift away from the water. So instead, move closer to Paradise Resort in that general location, try to get some type of foothold in control, and that's going to be CC going down from PO, who does spot him out. Now, guess what? It's just Milk again.
Got Milk? Well, AHQ does. They have it. Can they maintain this? Can Milk find some way to be a hero once again? PO is looking to try to get the flush onto CC. Another team is looking over there. It's going to be Loki, actually, excuse me, who is going to find the angle onto him. There's 1 member left for AHQ. An okay start here for Gen G. They really need to start turning it around right now if they want to find themselves in the finals next week.
I'm just going to remind everybody about the map stream, so if you want to keep an eye on how some way we can see this push coming through off of him, if he can manage to survive, that's a good way to keep it up. But look at this contain coming out from CC, just connecting with so many shots. Spin back over towards it. Ace just got demolished off of that position.
Incredible position from CC, spoiling this game for Intas Ace by himself almost. Some help from his team, of course, and here goes 4 AM with a mad dash inside. Esther getting a few shots into them with the M16, but it looks like they are going to be able to rotate past this.
Looks like no, just keep going. Don't stop here, please. PO's getting the shots back over towards 4 Angry Men. Does manage to connect on 1 of them, drops him out off of it, but 4 Angry Men is not going to take that sitting down. Instantly getting aggressive, jumping out of it. PO's trying to retreat back down the hillside and look at 4 Angry Men, trying to hold the different angles on it, but Gen G has the numbers. They have to be so careful on these pushes. PO still holding up, got the grenade, looks like he has the angle, trying to throw the grenade, goes a little bit too far off of it. 4 Angry Men still playing around this rock, trying to see what's going on. PO's just trying to get out of this position. You can see Loki was also trying to make his way up into this, maybe get a side flank. Realizing it might be a little bit too violent. PO does manage to connect off of that. So now just down to 1 member with 4 Angry Men. They have to be so careful.
Great repositioning here by PO. Now it is AFF as well. 2 Korea teams looking to sandwich the surviving members of 4 Angry Men. PO just shooting into the smoke, trying to find anything that's going to back Xiaolu up. ZGG is dead to rights at this point. Here comes AFF.
AFF has got to flank back behind this. He has to be so careful. He's just hunkered down inside the position, but he's going to go down from shots on the backside of it. Freak of Freaks Fatal did spot that one out. Gen G is just going to separate out away from this, try to get a little bit of distance, paying attention to who's going down and how they're dying, realizes, okay, let's not push into that fight. Let's just go ahead and go for position.
Yeah, no reason. Gen G is already set up for a fight in that situation. This is why AFF is backing off. They want no business running into a team that is set up for a fight from that angle.
See Genesis holding the high ground on top of these rocks, looking back down towards Na'Vi as they make their way through. They got an opening knock onto this and a follow-up flush. Navi's just trying to figure out, okay, how do we want to push up and through this? Rumblers following up right back behind it. So very quickly, Navi's going to find themselves contained. It's actually Genesis taking the shots back over towards Red Canids. There's a lot of different teams trying to push back over towards this angle as Infantry is contemplating it as well.
That was a fantastic headshot by the Canids. That is going to back H-Win and the members of Genesis off ever so slightly, but a nice finish onto Rusty Zera. And that is going to be 2 kills so far for Genesis as the Rumblers are looking to rumble behind Na'Vi.
They spotted one, walking up back behind it, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on. Goes for the spray up through the tree, gets a little bit of damage off onto it. So now you can see Na'Vi is trying to figure out where do we go. Infantry's off on a different angle onto this. This is a 3-way fight right now. One of the Rumblers has already gone down. Going to be some nice shots on the backside of them. So now Rumblers, who do have the high ground, trying to figure out how they can use it to the best of their ability. Na'Vi, everybody has sight lines towards each other.
This is going to be really challenging for the Rumblers. They got to kind of back off of this. Infantry is on their right. Na'Vi is straight ahead of them. There isn't much room for them to push through here. They might just have to reposition, swing further south to get into safety.
But Na'Vi has got the inside track. They're actually inside the safe zone right now. Rumblers and Infantry are right on the edge, and the blue zone's coming up back behind them. That's how come they're trying to rush through. Nice sprays coming out. A lot of members going down for Infantry right now. They're in a lot of trouble off of this. Rumblers just going to try to run through. Los being the last member alive, just trying to get a foothold inside the safe zone and narrowly managed to get there.
Yeah, it looks like Waldo might be dead to rights on the backside of this for the Rumblers. See if Los can make something work, and we are going to head right over to Tatmok.
The party has been around Paradise Resort. That's where a lot of teams were making their pledge, hoping that's where the circle was going to go. Goes up to Tatmok instead. So now you can see teams that are being very active in their movement, like Afrika Freaks Fatal, gonna get a nice position off of.
This was such an important rotation for Fatal. Backing off of that fight, knowing full well they couldn't take it. They got that 1 kill on a 4AM, left, and now they find themselves in a fantastic position.
One thing to note, WClick already moving into the circle as well. These guys have had a very strong performance towards the late game, getting a lot of points based off of it. But there's so many teams around Paradise Resort right now. We've got Genesis, we've got Na'Vi, the remnants of the Rumblers, Infantry, and Gen G, as well as, surprise, surprise, Milk. Milk's still alive.
Look at this.
Just what he does.
300 kills. 300 for PO in 2019. The guy is a monster. 4 kills for him in this game. This is desperately what Gen G needs. They need their superstar to awaken.
And looking back over towards Nerf, realizing the fact that they're going to have to make some type of path back behind this, but keep your eyes back towards Los, depending on how he opts into moving off this. Genesis, trying to use the rocks, use those different angles, trying to find some type of sneaky point. You can see playing up on the rock, being at an unexpected angle is going to be how they take down a doozy there. So should be able to follow that up very quickly. But now with this, Na'Vi should have a little bit more information. How are they going to use it becomes the question. That could be very dangerous as they're walking into a trap that has been set by Genesis. Very patiently waiting this out.
And look at this H-Win way up on the north side of this, containing all the angles, but he gets found out once again by a member of the Red Canids with that M24, and he finds him. Pio has got 5 kills as he takes down Infantry's Lin on the backside, and look who could play the spoiler here, Matchroom, it's Los.
Los is just watching what's going on, running right back behind Genesis, letting him clear the path for them. Red Canids got an angle off the side of it. And the last poor Milk, we love you, but you are now down, and that's going to be the last member of Na'Vi taking some shots back over towards Genesis, giving away his position. Nerf's going to be able to get a couple of shots back towards him. So now Best of Luck has to figure out, where do we go? What angle do I have? Still not inside the safe zone, and the blue is about to catch up to him. He doesn't have a lot of real meds to work with at this point, and Los is going to spot him out. It's a 1v1 back over in phase number 4, and we're going to have to see how this plays out. Na'Vi opts into going towards Genesis. The blue's going to come in back behind it. Profi's looking around, going to look back over towards this, and that's going to be a lot of death as Los, somehow managing to come out of this alive, walks back over and says, hey, thanks, K-Mine. I'll take that one and continue my path.
Great sneaky play here by Los, picking up some points for the Rumblers on the map that they struggle with. He does get taken down for his efforts by the surviving member of Genesis, which is Profi. He is going to roll up on some heals. T1 in the middle of the circle, more or less. A nice little 3-1 split with Adder in that hut over there. I hate those huts, though. There's not a lot of angles in and out of it, so it makes it a really tricky position to hold. It's easy to get some grenades in there as well. VC never really ran into Ghost. Ghost decided to back off of that very early fight. Ghost still find themselves in the circle as well, though.
So with this, 9 teams, 25 alive, and it's really starting to heat up back over towards the east. You can see WClick just trying to hold up a defensive position while Gen G is trying to figure out how they're going to make the path in on this. Afrika Freaks Fatal is up towards the north, not wanting to move through the dangerous area that is Tatmok. There's so many Little cheeky angles, so many dangerous points to walk through. Now you can see sightlines have come up. W-Click looking back over towards Gen G. Pio finding himself in a lot of trouble. Loki kind of in a decent spot right now, but not inside the safe zone. He's going to have to figure out how he's going to make the crosses. Fatal is coming back down from the north. They hear this. They want a third party. They want to get these kills.
This is a really aggressive move here by Fatal. Looks like they got pushed out of Top Mach by VC or somebody else potentially, and now they are looking to get some points somehow, and it is going to come at the cost of their other Korea team. Gen G. Pio is healing up as best as he can. Here comes NN up the hill.
Nice shots.
Spotted out by Loki.
Good shots coming out from Loki. Gets the down and the flush back over towards it, but the rest of Fatal. Just Lambu throwing up the grenade over here. Loki's going for a reposition, but W-Click is going to hear this. All the information getting fed over back over towards them is going to allow them to take the shots. The moment anybody steps away from these rocks, Loki's still caught up in this. Pio in no position where he can provide any support. He's still tangling with W-Click right now. Loki's trying to get the shots back, but no, it's going to be Lambu that gets the grenade back down onto Loki.
Pio's got to get out of here. Lambu trying to survive and get some more points. There's still 9 teams left, so neither him nor Pio want to go down. Oh, 1 hit point left for Pio there. Harold with some really nice shot. Excuse me, not Harold, but another member of W-Click as Harold was looking over at Pio.
So looking back over towards this. Let's see. Trying to push forward. Does see Ribbo just playing as close to the blue as he can. Doesn't want to take any more damage off of it. Just bouncing from tree to tree, taking damage every step that he goes. But he might have finally found an angle to get a little bit more space. He's got to be so cautious off of this. He knows the fact that this next push is going to be the most hazardous. He's hoping that nobody spots him out. He's looking off to one side, doesn't see Ragnar Silzen on either angle, and is going to get spotted out. So that's going to be a Freak of Freaks Fatal going down in 9th.
All right, it is Gen G's Pio, the lone man left for them. Can he get something going? 6 big kills for him already. The much-needed player showing up for them in this round.
Where has this Pio been? We've been waiting for this moment.
I don't know. I am so happy to see it, though. They need it so desperately, and oh boy. Boyoung is going to get Profi caught out there. Sneaky Snake in the grass. That is going to be 8th place for Genesis.
A lot of these solos just kind of post up along this line right now. But guess what? You took some shots a second ago, Infantry. So now Pio knows where you're at. Gonna just wait for him to step out, get the spray back over towards him. Doesn't actually take him down in the initial burst, but does actually go down to the blue of all things. But now Pio has given away his position. Shots coming back over towards him, down to about a 3rd life. And there is a lot of W-Click members.
Well, W-Click wants to get Pio out of this flank so they can move forward more towards the center of the circle. And it looks like they might send someone down there. Pio's pretty trapped in that position. He's going to need to get a grenade and a little bit of luck to get through here. There's a lot of teams. Oh, he gets the grenade.
Oh, that's Harold. Big. That's something that he needed right now. You can see the red Canadians pushing back over towards T1, opting to go up on top of the building where T1 members are at and use it for cover and sightlines. Using the smokes, gets an angle back over towards Helen, but doesn't get him down.
Wow, a nice job by Andy to get up on top of this house. Now he's taking circle damage. Jeff Laka is going to find him. Out in 6th place are the Canids. T1 still 4 strong, but the circle is right on their butts.
It is a mess right now. Everybody is just taking any shots they can. You can see McCoy does go down, gets flushed off of it. Helen's gone down inside of an exchange as well. Pio still just walking back behind this. T1's looking back over towards Ghost right now. Ghost wants to make the push back over towards T1 position. It's the few buildings still left inside the safe zone, and there's not a lot of cover to be had in it. Grenades are starting to rain down on so many different angles.
Look at this. VC is trying to get in on the party. Ghost is getting sandwiched from 2 sides, and they even have, making it worse is the blue coming up. Shrimzy's so weak. 1 shot from DJ Boy is going to find him, and that is going to be Ghost down in 5th place.
Oh, but Pio has an angle. Look at that. He's just spraying into T1. Does a ton of damage, but the spin back comes with it.
My God, Pio wrecking T1 there, but it is not going to get him much. He does get the kills because other members of T1 are finished off by other teams. Huge round from Pio.
2 teams alive. We are at a 4v4. It is VC and W-Click lining up right towards the center of this circle. Getting a little bit more information. W-Click still playing the backside of the hill, trying to move up. You can see bouncing from the rocks. VC is just trying to fish him out with a couple of grenades, hoping that they can get an introductory knock onto it. The new circle has popped. Does favor VC just a little bit better than W-Click.
Yeah, a lot of control over this circle. You've got 2 members of VC swinging out onto the east. Summer and Domu are trying to cover that angle and potentially get a flank, but they're going to back off now as they didn't see any members of W-Click pushing that way, realizing that W-Click might be opting to push more towards the west to get into this circle. So now they have to reposition to make sure they're not going to find that angle.
VC has Click. If either one of them goes for the res, they're putting themselves in such a disadvantaged position. Silzen goes down. It's going to be DJ Boy just pushing back over to the side. There's 4 members up for VC right now. They have so much control. They're just spraying down anything that they see. Playing inside the smoke, trying to spot him out. Gets another down, just spinning back around over to it, and it's just Ribbo up and alive. He takes a little bit of damage, but he's right at the feet of VC, and that's going to be VC Gaming.
What is going on today? 4 games in a row for China. They are absolutely on fire. No one has an answer.
They are dominant right now. It is absolutely destruction on anything that is not a Chinese team right now.
VC, this was an impressive performance at the end, but I am going to give a little bit of shade towards Ghost. I think they should have blockaded VC in the beginning of that game, kept them pinned inside of that canyon kind of thing they had there. There was not much room for VC to maneuver out of it. The circle was coming in. Ghost decided to back off, and VC is the beneficiary of it.
VC walking away with about 6 kills. DJ Boy walking away with 3 at the top of it. But again, WClick up towards the top, being in that top 5 position repeatedly now. One thing I do want to say, PO, 8 kills.
Nuts.
Where has this been? Where has this PO been at? It feels like he has been so quiet other than this last game.
Is this going to be the fire that he needed to get going? Can we see some of that PO we got to see at PNC and in phase 2 of the PKL and at the MET? This guy was absolutely nuts for about a 3-month stretch. He was still very, very good in phase 3 of the PKL.
I mean, we saw him at Nations Cup. He was such a power point for that team. And that's the Korean team on top of that. But it's just been so quiet from him through the group stages, through the entirety, it felt like.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, we are through with Sandhawk. That means it's time to go over to Kalaris and the guys at the analyst desk.
And at this point, 4 games deep in day number 2 of the semifinals, the only thing I can truly say is China, 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 because geez Louise, all they are doing is bopping nerds left, right, and center. If it isn't 4 AM, if it isn't infantry, VC now comes out with a win here. China is smashing it.
VC has played 4 Sandhawk games in this tournament, and they've won 2 of them.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
I want to give some credit, though, to WClick. They are consistently staying up there, getting those placement points, getting some good kills. If they fix the small stuff when it comes down to the 4 versus 4 in the end games, they will literally finish top 8 in the grand finals.
Well, you can see WClick, they were a little bit passive there towards the end. They did a 2-2 split. But VC, they took control with a full line of 4 people. Basically, one push down, take a few shots, back up. Next person goes from the other side, takes a few shots, and then backs up. And they just kept on jiggling like that on WClick.
With 3 or 4 teams left, you could really see that click of like, we have absolute utmost confidence that we're going to be able to control this circle and then start the powerful sweep across. It was very well played by them, especially in the final moments, it felt like.
Yeah, no, you definitely saw that WClick in T1, 5 kills. Gen G with 9. PO, what?
With 8.
Oh my goodness. I mean, he was just massacring people. You don't think he was massacring people?
Well, it's like, finally, right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for him.
Better late than never.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the highlights here from Sandhawk. We have 2 more games remaining right after this, but let's check in the jungle as we started things off with Infantry Gaming, having a little bit of a few pot shots here down on towards the bridge.
Force was a little bit unlucky. They were basically pinching Rumblers with 2 south of Rumblers, 2 north of Rumblers. But the 2 guys on the south here, they got a little bit too late, and they got taken out before Rumblers pushed north for the other 2.
Yeah, I mean, Rumblers got 3 times more than they normally get on this map with 3 kills. They did put some points in the bank. Yeah, I'd say, you know, PO's improving. Rumblers is improving, I guess, on this map. Maybe it's a good move.
I asked them for 4 points, game it free. I'm happy with that.
That's fair. That's fair. I still put a 4 men. They've been absolutely dominant. Genesis here, it's opening up okay, but ultimately they just sort of got caught and eradicated. But still, 5 kills, not bad. I mean, when you play Sandhawk, it's so unpredictable. Most teams, if you get 5, you go, all right, that was a good game. It was okay.
Salpino was a little bit surprised, you know. In the bottom, Force, FaZe, Ace.
Well, it's not surprising at this point to see FaZe down there.
Wow.
I mean, they're in danger of rowing down the same road Liquid did at this point. It has been a bad day for FaZe, and they need to clean it up. I mean, we'll get into that.
They're going to pull up. They're going to pull up.
I hope so.
We'll see it. Force they're going to win 2 games back.
All right, you FaZe with the double?
Yeah, hopefully.
Jeez.
Wow.
Okay, well,
It's been extremely dominant. Obviously, we do have a majority. We only have 5 Western teams playing, so we should see some dominance. But this dominance from China, though, it's been insane.
that's right. VC Gaming getting themselves the win here, and overall, after seeing them approach the PGC as a whole, they did well in the eliminations, and they get themselves a win here in the semi-final group stage, which is big here for VC Gaming. The match results coming in, 16 points for them. Not the biggest kill game by any means, but they turned on at the very end and they showed up.
Well, it's because we'll see that later on when we see the drops.
Yeah.
But they were on the Northwest Island for a long time. They were getting held there by Ghost. And basically those 2 teams, they didn't kind of move anywhere because they just crossed the river and that's where the game ended.
I mean, the hero for me is Gen G on this match. They went out in 4th. They still move up to 2nd because of how many kills they racked up on that one. They sort of never stopped fighting, and that's what you got to respect. Sanhok teams that maybe they don't get the W, but they get the kills. They put the Ks in the bank. That's how you make the big money.
Pio was all over the place and just grabbing those kills. We saw the Gen G holding together 3 guys, and then you had Pio running around.
Oh, absolutely. Very good. Avenger? I just wanted to interrupt you a few more times.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You can just do that now. Yeah. No,
You wanna say something?
T1 W click, they did great. You guys can continue.
And there you go. That's how it sits. So not quite as top-heavy as some of our Erangel games here for sure. Here's our overall standings from the points accrued today, importantly, by all of these teams. As of course, some of our B teams do have points from yesterday. We have 4 Arguments still sat at the top with the 48 points. T1 moves up into 2nd place here with 36. Nicely done.
They're playing super good, T1. They always doing these kind of splits where they do 3-1 split and making sure that they just bounce back and forth. And T1, they had 38 points in the group stage. They're already at 36 here.
Happy to see Infantry step it up as well. They're at 29 points. They need to continue this. I want to see 2 big games from them. With the kind of luck they had against them yesterday, this has been a nice recovery so far. I want to see something big from them, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers for them for a good game on Miramar.
I mean, Force, Rumblers, Na'Vi, these are teams that don't get a chance to defend themselves tomorrow. They need to put points on the board today, and those numbers, 11, 11, 11, is not going to do it. Those guys need to get their heads straight, come into Miramar with guns blazing, and put some Ks on the board.
Let's take a look at some of these teams here that are vying for some more points. This is the overall standings. Again, do bear in mind, some of our B teams have played more games because of yesterday. Some of those teams that are still under threat quite a bit. Infantry Gaming in 13th place right now. Despite them getting themselves a win, 37 points. Going into tomorrow could be a little bit worrying.
I would be terrified if I was them. I mean, even Na'Vi in 7th place with 53 is going to start to feel the stress if they don't clean up on the next one.
I'll tell you who need to be nervous right now. That's FaceClan and Ghost Gaming.
Yeah.
If they continue the way they've been playing today, it's not going to work at all. I mean, basically nothing is happening from those teams.
But it's already been extremely top heavy though, guys. So our kind of hypothetical top 16 around the 60 mark could be lower because it's been so big sponges at the top. We've seen 4AM done it. We've seen VC, we've seen Rumblers do it. I'm curious to see how low we can go here, because if the guys show up tomorrow, if you get a 50+ point day tomorrow, you might be okay with the 11-15 points that FaZe has right now, and Ghost as well.
It's sort of a testament to how well TSM did yesterday, considering they're still in 6th place, when all of the teams on that left column right now are all B teams that have actually played a whole lot more games than them.
Yeah.
I think that's TSM is making a statement over and over that maybe they are the best in Europe. And I was hoping we were setting up for a big TSM FaZe showdown tomorrow, but I'm starting to worry about it.
Well, they're going to be playing tomorrow. They're not eliminated, so we're going to see it. We're going to see it. But as you said, we could potentially be looking at TSM bullying FaZe because they are looting Milta and FaZe is in Milta power, so that they could kind of gatekeep them a little bit. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but still got 2 more games here. I'm hoping to see some FaZe pull up because they have Montano Evers with themselves.
Yeah,
and they have been showing some really good tendencies on Miramar so far.
Talk to me about Miramar as a whole. Obviously, Avenger, you've just kind of alluded to that, but that is our next destination. What are you thinking here going into our Miramar games?
I mean, for me, the #1 takeaway on Miramar is especially that first game. There's just no reason to contest drops on Miramar. If you do, it's a fool's errand. It's unnecessary. There's enough trash. There's enough spread loots that you can get your gear and get rotating. So I don't want to see anybody try to sort of be the bigger man and drop and pick up a fight. Do the right thing for your team and look for the wins.
At the same time, you might want to flex a little bit if you're on the top right now, because you want to bully other people out of your spot. You want to have it for yourself. It doesn't matter if someone else is going to go there, if they are low on the leaderboard, if you're high up.
But now's not the time to stand up to a bully. If a bully shows up in your drop spot, maybe it's time to go a little somewhere else.
I'm curious to see if Force is going to drop on Genesis in Picado. That's going to be interesting. It's 1 point difference right now, but they're both sitting very comfortable at the top at 56 and 57 points, so they potentially can afford it. But then again, they're not playing tomorrow.
With 11 points on the board today for Force, if I'm then, I definitely do not take that attack. Go somewhere else, try to get a big game.
Well, it's not time for Miramar just yet, but it is time for something. Let's do the listening here at PGC.
对对对，下电去帮耳朵。他们可能从右边拉过来。没事，我这里有掩体。应该是4打4啊，别急别急，可能有人趴着的，就在我们近点。然后确定位置，我就扔雷，好吧？好。还有雷吗？多的？没有没有，我什么投掷物都没有了。我给你2颗，我给你2颗，我4颗。等下扔后面。别着急，我们俩圈呢，别着急。没事，我们离圈近，别急别急。我知道我知道。右边我能看死。 你雷等一会儿再扔，好吧？准备捏雷，我们俩。对，来，雷等一会儿再扔。来，别急别急。155这边。等一下，捏了，扔了。我们应该等一会儿再扔呢。大倒，等一会儿。我右边顶了。刷了一会儿再扔。别慌顶。别说我有个。别慌顶，退回来一点。别慌。我退了，右边那个打残了。我想顶我那个绿标石头，倒一个石头。这石头能顶吗？ 别倒，我躲。右边可以顶，下来跟我。耳朵慢点，别急，慢点，黑岛慢点，你没掩体。倒一个，顶！黑岛我跟着你了，冲开，这边倒一个。眼里，别着急，往后，别急，倒了，别急，这边，
We don't need to know what they're saying for those impassioned cries towards the very end, but what was very cool to see in that clip was the fact that the coordination for the throwing of grenades to control space via that was very, very on point.
You can see that they definitely know that the nade meta is very heavy now, and that they managed to keep a few nades towards the end, literally won in the game. They opened up with a nade, had a nice angle off, and again, Naizu.
I want to give props to Tide because he resisted a temptation that all of us do constantly. And that was after that initial spray, he pushed the smoke before tactically reloading. Every single player I know, they fire it off, they've still got 20 in the chamber, and they hit that reload button. If he had done that and the W-click had been pushing forward, it could have cost him. So learning to resist that temptation can be a really strong thing to put into your game.
All right, well, that is it. We are going to the desert in a few moments' time here for the PGC. We have 2 more games coming at you here for day number 2 of the semifinals. We'll see you in a few.
Dark scenes without overexposing bright areas. Color Vibrance allows for more realistic and vibrant colors. It also provides the convenience to tune colors in-game, making you see the change instantly.
It's always great to see the eye tracking software giving us a bit of extra detail as to what's going on.
Welcome back, everyone, to the OGN Super Arena in Manhattan Beach, California. We are here for the final two games of day 2 of the semifinals with groups B and C. Group B, this is their last chance.
Almost caught you slipping.
Almost caught me slipping. It was very, very close. Group C has made quite the impression today. Group B, this is their last opportunity to keep control of their own destiny going forward. And we've got, I mean, we've seen it happen. Miramar.
We saw it actually on that sort of global leaderboard there before the break, and I think the top 5 or 6 spots were all from Group B, of course, playing yesterday and now today as well. 2 games remaining, Miramar on the cards. And for those in Group B, it's certainly sort of like, if we don't do well here, we don't want to be biting our nails tomorrow. Let's finish strong. Let's try and get above 60, 70 points.
It's
ideally
about what it's looking like right now is if you're going to be sitting in the audience watching tomorrow in Group B, you don't want to be thinking, hoping, putting their destiny in somebody else's hands here. But one thing to keep in mind yesterday, and pretty much going back all the way to the group stages, teams that do well on Erangel, or do poorly on Erangel, end up turning things around on Miramar. We saw Entus Force kind of keep that trend going yesterday, where they had 5 points, I think, going into Miramar, and then picked up 2 wins in a row and ended up in 3rd place in the group.
Yeah, I certainly agree. 4AM, what we've seen from them today on Erangel, is that going to continue the trend-wise on Miramar?
At this point, I don't want to bet against 4AM.
Oh, God, no.
That team is looking just dumb.
They're on a different level today as we head into match number 5 for day 2 of the semi-finals, Group B and C. And as we've mentioned, it's the final 2 games for Group B. They do currently at least have 5 or 6 in the top portion of the leaderboard. But where will they finish tomorrow? That's the question. So, time to finish strong. Rumblers is a team that needs to finish strong as well. They had a great day yesterday. So far, not looking as good.
Yeah, it's kind of slowed down a little bit in their Erangel game. Still currently
I think they're still first
place. Yeah. You know, but I mean,
in comparison,
it's not a death grip on first by any means. It's not something that they can feel comfortable with going home. I mean, they're tied with VC Gaming. Genesis right behind them, Gen G as well. Entus Force, TSM, Nodus, Vincher, and OGN Entus Ace rounding out that top 8. But everything is so very close. And look at this. We're going to get a far north circle here.
Right on top of VC and 4AM as well, as you said, with this far north circle. Both have been doing well. Layla's landing a shot there as Gen G coming down.
Well, that's how confident 4AM's feeling right now. Wayless, the artist formerly known as Godby, still taking these long-range shots with confidence.
From what I understand, he switches between the handles, or is he completely changed over to Wayless?
You know what? I'm going to just call him Wayless. He wants to be called Wayless. I'm going to call him Wayless.
Hey. Wants to change it over.
All I know
one
is
thing that hasn't changed is the skill.
Yeah,
it's still there.
And everybody in this lobby right now has way less points than 4AM.
Oh.
Hey. Shout out Toffees.
Okay, Boomer.
I know he's going to appreciate that one. I'm appreciating
that. That was a dad joke.
FaZe Clan heard one. Way off to the north here. It's kind of an interesting job for them, as they normally drop in Montenuevo. The plane obviously not too ideal for that, but it's something that they could have dropped and maybe gone for vehicles, but instead electing to go all the way north is actually working out pretty well for them.
Fortunately for a lot of these teams, the plane path was obviously going straight up vertical, so that's why we've got a lot of teams up north. We've seen, at least in the past at times, with more southern planes, you might actually see anything above San Martin might be empty. So that's not the case here for this sort of circle. Whereas a lot of teams, though, that are down south, the Freaka Freaks, all the way down in Porto Paraíso, and obviously we've got 2 teams in Los Leones, Infantry's down there, and Chumacera for Rumblers. Although for Rumblers at Chumacera, I think pretty easy rotation. They'll go out west and make their way in up north. For everyone else down south, though, around Los Leones, it'll be interesting to see how they decide to play this sort of circle. Whether they go direct or far out to the east or west.
So we've got a little idea that Wayless might have been just below him. It doesn't look like he's too concerned here. He's just going to go ahead and let the rest of his teammates know that he might have seen somebody. One of the interesting thing, okay, we have FaZe Clan with this far north drop, and you see Na'Vi just off to the west of them, over towards Lockover area. These are 2 teams that have been running into each other all day long, and it feels like neither one of them are the better off for it. FaZe
definitely not Na'Vi.
FaZe and Na'Vi obviously have probably the worst days that they have had. FaZe sitting on 14 points.
That's because I started to cheer for FaZe.
It is. Well,
I have not had good luck cheering for teams so far, and that's been the running joke behind the scenes.
Yeah. So maybe stop cheering for FaZe for just these last 2 games. See if they can rally up a little bit. But it's going to be interesting since they're so far north there, and going to be maybe going for the same centralized locations here up on the north side to see if they run into each other again. Hopefully not. For our
I think it'd be interesting if they do.
European fans.
Why not? Bring it on.
Na'Vi.
Let's see the bloodshed. I'm cheering for that.
Yeah, Na'Vi sitting on 53 points overall so far, so good enough for 7th place. They probably would like to get a few more. Love to get over at least 70.
Well, that's where the discussion now in terms of the cutoff point for obviously the top 16, 8 teams going home. For Group B, they're finishing up here in these next 2 games as nerf spots Ghost Gaming going by. Whether it's, what, 60 to 70 points, it depends on if it remains to be top heavy or if the point distribution starts to spread out a bit more, then it might actually determine how that cutoff will look like. But the best way is if you're in Group B and you're finishing up here, finish strong and you won't have to worry tomorrow.
Yep, that's the quite easy way to do it, simple way to do it. As we, you start looking at those point gobblers, and you look at 4 a.m. You look back at yesterday, you look at TSM, but other than that, everybody else has been kind of spread out here. So it's going to be definitely interesting. But we have 2 more games here left to play, and we see MicroFry taking a few shots over towards Mickey. Nothing going to land just yet. Mickey going to be able to get out of that just fine.
Now Tentis Ace rotating westernly at the moment. As you said, they're going past Rumblers. Back tire popped.
Is he
Mickey be able to make it out here? I don't sense he will be able to, at least not with the vehicle. It might have to be on foot.
Man, Rumblers wish they had that back. That is 2 bullets, maybe 3 at most.
Alpaca close by, able to come and give him a lending hand. Only a slowdown for OG and Entis Ace, but they'll at least be able to take Mickey forward for them. Head towards this phase 1 circle. Rumblers, obviously, they're going to want to get a move on as well. Freaka ended up going the Eastern Highway. I think for Rumblers now, it's probably just going to be go straight through Picardo and see what you can find from there.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best route of action. Also, can't forget about WClick, the surprising team from LATAM.
Man, they've been so good today.
Having a great day today. So we want to keep eyes on them just to the west of Minas Generalis right now.
They've had 1 poor game, and that was on match 3 on Erangel. Outside of that, I think every other game so far they've been inside of the top 4, so credit to WClick.
Just been solid.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely solid through and through. I mean, you cannot take anything away with them. I mean, they absolutely deserve to be here, proving that they belong, proving that they have a shot. They have a vested...
Now, a lot of space here for this phase 1 circle, Poro, so no surprise that it will probably be a bit slow and steady to start with here for match number 5. But obviously, in a minute and a half, we get phase 2. And that's when someone's going to get lucky. Yeah, you're going to probably see a lot of rotations out from that. Rumblers did, in fact, end up going through Picardo. Micro gets a bit of air. No style points, though.
It is interesting. How often these days do you see a circle that's pretty much almost 100% playable? I mean, you got to cut off maybe 2% of the circle at the top there with the wall, but other than that, everything available for all these teams.
Miramar, you'd suspect it would happen more often, but it doesn't. You're right. Usually there's actually a lot of unplayable terrain out to the sides or the water. There's Force trying to find some real estate. It's not free area around the center of the map. Nice headshot from Xiongjiang onto Xiaolu. Cherry. Oh my goodness, what's just happened? He's gone to space.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Well, we'll pray for you, Cherry.
Oh no, not like this.
Not like this indeed. And he's going to get picked off too. Silzen, you know, what can you do? Waldo now is left to fend for himself. Rybo going to push up, and he's going to get immediately taken down by Waldo. So good play here. Los HD coming to provide a little bit of support. Wick is going to send in Silzen as well.
Los HD caught to the backside, though, already very low. Gets knocked down by Ragnar. Waldo pops out. Tries to get Silzen, who's just pushed in for WClick. Ragnar at half health, but he primes the nade towards Waldo's building. Throws it in. Waldo again sneaks out. No, he went back in! Oh, Ragnar with the death nade gets the knockdown, and that will be the execution too. Horrible for Rumblers, considering, again, we've been talking about it. Only 2 games remaining. Poro, might as well almost be 1 remaining after this. They're down to 1 player.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it, especially hate to see it happen like that, unfortunate. But MicroFry still alive and up for the boys. He's off to the south. He's going to have to play this one out as a solo, just try to see if he can stay alive a little bit longer, maybe pick up a few cheeky points by himself. But now SKT is running it by WClick as well.
They're not done, WClick. They've been impressive today, to say the least, as they found a couple of headshots here at the rotating T1. We did get phase 2, shifted over to water treatment in the western side of the previous phase 1 circle. So the teams on the east starting to rotate now. T1 going south. That's why they've just gone past WClick here at Hacienda. But water treatment's where
We're starting to see 4AM rotate around. VC are on the other side of the road from there. It's also FaZe just north of water treatment as well, so that's the place to be. The congestion for phase 2 taking place there.
Yeah, with all this space that these teams have had to work with, we're seeing a surprising amount of early fighting going on here and a lot of shot trading. As we see SKT, Helen's going to join the rest of his squad. They still have to make it inside the circle from the south side of San Martin. And just Ace that pulled up onto Genesis very briefly. We see check on FaZe Etsy. He's going to be all by himself. They have a nice little split going across the road here, just north of water treatment.
There's a lot of safe areas around here as well, Burrow. Like, going back to your comment in terms of phase 1 and the playable area, it remains, of course, probably for the rest of this game, how it plays out, obviously. So we're not going to have any tricks sort of like that Rozoc game we saw, for example, on Erangel. And the way it usually plays out.
Gen G.
Wow, this
Gen G
is...
wants this.
Yeah.
They saw this. They saw FaZe crashing this compound from the mountains just to the north.
They've only got 2 here, though. It's only Pio and Loki, so they've got to be careful if they get too aggressive. I think they've realized now that FaZe are here, it's time to just retreat back. Smart play. Pio, though, might not make it in the Murado. Open rooftop is nice for the scenic driving, but it's deadly. 18 knocked down by Senya, though, of Na'Vi. That's going to help out Gen G. Oh, caught out. Completely out in the open.
That is unfortunate for Etsy. I mean, he wasn't even part of this fight going on with Gen G. He was just kind of making his way in, and fortunately for Na'Vi, they once again catching out their European brethren, getting a free point there.
It continues to be FaZe and Na'Vi running into each other. I think you jinxed it at the start of the game.
I might have. I might have jinxed it at the start of the day because they've been doing it for 6 games, or 4 games at least now. 5. Pio going to do his normal scouting routine. Unfortunately, this time he's not on a motorcycle as he should be. He's going to be on this Murado.
This compound that he's about to rock up to is where FaZe were.
Yeah.
Just before FaZe pushed down. And now Gen G are going to find that this is open. They're going to send Loki and Taman and the rest of the crew towards this position. Infantry are close, but Gen G should be able to get Esther there and the rest of Gen G. Now it would actually be a decent spot for them. 17 seconds till phase 3. And we've only lost 5 players for what's been a slow start here for Miramar match 5. Longska doing his best driving for Infantry Clan. Who have now rocked up to 4 AM from behind. Phase 3 pops happening. It does go onto water treatment, which is good news for VC. Good news for 4 AM. They open it up onto Lin. They spot them first, although a trade back from Zhao Young onto CGG, who's been the front leader for 4 AM so far today. Forever's got the flank though, gets the knockdown. He is getting shot at by Boliang. Headshot, but look how far away he is, Burrow. He's not going to be able to help out much more than that.
Yes, super unfortunate for Infantry. The lost track of what was going on at this compound here. 4 AM pulled up. They weren't even expecting it, so looks like they're going to go ahead and lose 2 here. Boliang and Longsker are going to have to play this one out.
Gen G are, of course, sort of around this area. Snooping and listening and seeing what they can find. They hear the vehicle of Longsker. Pio's going to pick over this ridgeline. He did get spotted by way less than 4 AM though. That might just send him back behind it. It actually helps out Infantry. Longsker might have been obliterated there if it were not for 4 AM. He's able to get away now, and Zhao Young will be finished off by Forever for 4 AM.
Infantry heading off to the north. They're outside of circle. They're going to do a little bit of a longer rotation around AHQ. Going to be sending it off to the east as well. You can see that they are doing their best to stop and scout out before they make their moves inside. But man, there's just no room to be found to really move in here. So the east side very clustered.
Went from a lot of space for the first 2 phases to now not a lot of space at all.
We also have a fight breaking off here. This could be huge as Ghost and Genesis right on top of each other. K9 is going to get spotted out and immediately flushed off by the Ghost gang as they are on the high ground just outside of circle here. This is going to be a tough fight for them to really continue too much longer, so they might just take that free kill and bail on it.
Surprising that. Ghost Gaming need points. They're sitting on 14 so far after 4 matches, but not wanting to commit too much. Style knocked down and finished off by Rusty Zero. Nade thrown towards Shadow, holds on for now, but unfortunately CGG's hunting him down. 4AM are just so aggressive. It's the elimination, 3 kills. They're not done yet though, knowing that the rest of Afrika Freaks are just really on the other side of this mountain.
I wouldn't be surprised to see ZGG and Forever continue to push forward, maybe even peek over this ridge line. You can see in the background of that shot where we saw Longska knocked down by Seongjange, and the rest of Infantry Clan are eliminated in the process, out in 16th position.
This is bad news for Infantry Clan. This is their last day of games that they can play, so they have one more game left to make an impression, and right now they are sitting pretty low.
It just feels like 4AM have got eyes on everywhere. Eyes on everyone as they wipe out a Freak of Freaks fatal. 5 kills now, 4AM.
15 minutes in and
they've got eyes on Red Canids, they've got eyes on AHQ as well. And we're about to get eyes ourselves on phase 4. Will it continue on to water treatment? DJ Boy tied holding there. They've also got 2 members of VC south of it. It does actually go over to Enter's Ace. Ghost Gaming are inside of this circle along with Genesis as well. Out to the far west. Forever takes the shots on the Raspu. The nade from Forever was in there first. Forever will confirm his own kill. 6 now for 4AM.
I mean, Raspu, he was a little bit far away from the rest of his squad, but he was serving in kind of a scout role, and he was doing it about as right as he could. But man, 4AM, I mean, they just, what can you even say at this point that hasn't already been said? They're dominating.
2 players remaining for Red Canids, Psycho and Andy. As HQ have moved up, as we go over to T1, pushing up onto W-Click. Ragnar along with Harold and Silzen. Silzen's not there though. Harold tries to hold the concrete building, gets the elimination onto a CAD. 2 more members of T1 to deal with around here. You can see Howland in the distance. He's providing the cover fire for Jeff Locker and Ada. Around the side though, the back of the building where Howland can't help out. Jeff Locker with the headshot knocked down. And they deal with 2 of the members of W-Click. Silzen remains at the warehouse. Oh no, for how much longer? As I've said it, Enter's Force have just breached him completely.
Meanwhile, AHQ has to work their way around Red Canids here. Andy FBS going to take a few shots, get about halfway health with Yanli. Milk going to have to hop out the car. What? Oh. With the SKS. He's got no ammo left for his Scar. He's going to finish off the fight with the SKS.
Why not? In style for Psycho. We go back over to the Rumble as Micro Fry trying to hold on, find some kills, gets the knockdown onto Howland and finishes off in style.
There you go.
Kill the buggy to kill the player.
I mean, where's the rest of SKS or T1 is off to the north here. Ada and Jeff Locker overseeing Enter's Force here. Unfortunate that Akkad gets spotted out there, but great news for Micro Fry.
So there's Silza now, as we mentioned before. We had Enter's Force pushing in onto this warehouse. 5 kills for W-Click, but he is the last one alive. Can he get any more? Headshot! Can he get a Silzen? Silzen just couldn't quite get the last one remaining, which was Indigo for OG and Enter's Force. Now, he should be able to go and get the revives on his teammates as 4 angry men continue to pester the last 2 remaining players of Red Canids. Psycho firing back in the blue, but it's a long-fought effort and surely a foregone conclusion here for the Latam team.
Yeah, 4AM has no pressure here. They could just sit here and wait all day for this.
Oh, he didn't check both sides as he walked in. Always check your left and rights.
They thought they survived through the Silzen, but Enter's Force still taking a whole bunch of damage here.
What's going on with FaZe? Uber's going to go down to the blue here. It's Na'Vi again versus FaZe again.
Just same story, different map here. There's Na'Vi and FaZe just going at it again.
I mean, the bullets aren't going to get him. It's actually going to be the blue zone in the end, but they might still just finish him off anyway. They do. It's Senya, 2 kills for Na'Vi. And for FaZe, Mexi and Fuzzface are the remaining 2. The hopeful 2 for FaZe. Gen G has spotted them. So Gen G have got eyes on the remaining 2 players of FaZe, and so does Na'Vi. They've got no kills, and they're not in the placement points either. It's looking like another horrible game for FaZe Clan as we head to phase 5.
Well, they still got 2 up right now, and Gen G might have to turn their attention back towards 4AM because 4AM moving in from that eastern side. The water circle going to cut up north. That's going to be huge.
Water treatment finish
for Gen G and 4AM, as we got to see what Ghost and Genesis decide to do here.
4AM have got the entire eastern side of the previous circle, and now this circle as well covered. They cleared it out, they made sure of that, and they've got 4 alive. And once Gen G deal with FaZe, they've got the north side water treatment cleaned up as well. And while FaZe are in a pickle, a log jam, Maxi down to half health, it's either going to be Na'Vi or Gen G. You feel we'll pick up the points here onto FaZe as Red Canids will be taken out in 12. There wasn't much Psycho could do from that position.
He survived about as long as he could. It's going to be interesting to see what Na'Vi decide to do here as well.
The immediate threat is Genesis.
Yeah.
They can't just pick on FaZe. They've got to take the fight with Genesis, who really need to take the fight with Na'Vi because they need to push into the circle. You can see a doozy with the Toby eye tracking, just scanning that ridge line. No kills yet for Genesis. Na'Vi preparing to defend the area that's not inside of the circle. So in their eyes, they've got to get moving as well. Potentially might have to crash onto Fuzzface and Mexi. And if they do that, then they're going to be focused on by Gen G. It's not looking good if you're on the north side of the circle. Not a lot of safe area.
Well, the problem for Na'Vi here is that Genesis has this high ground location right now.
Oh, wait, that's caught.
That's going to be Rumblers going out in 11th as Force going to push into the backside of 4 a.m. They're going to turn their attention back. Indigo going to go down. Kale still now the last remaining member of 4 Force.
He thrown out from Xiaolu to finish off Indigo. Doesn't quite reach him. Kale's still there, just trying to move it around. Oh, he went prone. Try and cross over. It's worked. The smoke's there as well. The nades are being thrown as the flush onto Indigo comes out from Xiaolu. 7 kills now. Oh, Mexi's caught. You can't just go prone there. To your right, Pio is the last member at Fuzzface, and he goes down for FaZe, just shy of the placement point. As we see the end of T1 as well, and we see the end of OG and Enters Force. Never mind, T1's got 1 left. I should say it was only OG and Enters Force. Profi knocked down. H-Win and Nerf, the remaining 2 for Genesis. Na'Vi have made the push over to the other side of the road, but Gen G, you think, will eventually get involved here as Adder's finally eliminated. There goes T1 finally.
Yeah, Gen G wrapped around the north side here away from 4 a.m., ran into the backside of FaZe Clan, and now they have a really nice position working the cliff side. Na'Vi trying to make their way in. They got the down onto Profi. Now Genesis is going to have to pause to get this heal off. But how much longer can they stay alive before Na'Vi decides to push into them? See, Profi going to get the heal. Pubg Global has gone down as Gen G is turning their attention back that direction. We can see Na'Vi playing, kind of doing a 2-1 split across the road. New Circle is popping, going to go dead center. Ghost Gaming has now been eliminated. Shrimzy tried to make a run, but it was not going to be enough. And just Ace now has to make their way out of their compound and down this cliffside. That's going to be rough sledding.
How has Genesis managed to hold on this long? The smoke's obviously helping. 4 a.m. and Gen G, along with VC, over towards water treatment. And now Antis Ace all wanting the shack at the same time. Throws out 1 nade. Do they spot it? Rang and Mickey have got to be careful. They both jump at the same time. They'll make it away from that position of the nade. But if one were to be thrown into that shack, there might be some 4 upset men in there.
And Summer's still outside here. He kind of left Domu on his own. He gets taken about 25% health by a nice little shot from Entis Ace. So see Na'Vi in a rough spot here too. They have to figure out what they want to do. Pio is just keeping them pinned down. Genesis is going to provide a little bit of support though.
Na'Vi have got the shack. I think they want to see if a doozy can find a better position for them. Senya with the knockdown of the Profi. They do still need to deal with Genesis, but Genesis aren't really an immediate threat. Although headshots from H-Win land onto both members of Na'Vi inside of the shack. Pio knocked down as well on top of the hill near water treatment as we see Summer finally eliminated by Forever. Doozy with the elimination of H-Win. Nerf gone as well. Genesis, I believe, are down to 1.
Yep, they're out.
No, they're out now.
Out in 5th. All right, so now we got Entis Ace towards the center of the circle. They have 4 strong by the shack. 4 a.m. still 3 up, and they have a nice little bead here on the Entis Ace squad. Unfortunately, nobody can get within range here to get a grenade over there. Just yet, anyway.
Entis Ace and Gen G. The only 2 teams with 4 alive. 4M have got 3, but a decent position inside of the zone. Xiaolu doesn't land the initial shots onto Joy. Pio with the knockdown to Aduzi after they just lost Bestalotcha. Xiaolu gets Rang onto Entis Ace. Look, when Lipo, it's not looking good for Entis Ace. Despite their numbers of players alive, their position, it's not good. It's going to draw attention to these nades now from 4 a.m. who are up to 10 kills. They hide on the backside of this shack.
Oh, there goes Rang though.
But Alpaca's moving up. He's on the right side. Can he provide a frontline initiation onto 4 a.m.? Find a knockdown or 2 to allow the rest of Entis Ace to try and cross over to the other side here, to the hill at water treatment. Gen G are doing a decent job of really controlling the north side of this zone.
Yeah, Gen G actually protecting Entis Ace here a little bit. They got the down on the ZGG.
They're making it very difficult for Na'Vi to get out of this shack.
That's just down to Senya. Senya's just going to try to stay alive for as long as possible. He's pinned down by Esther, but he just all he has to do is just not peek.
Alpaca, Mickey, both now have made it across the road. You can see how close Alpaca is to Xiaolu on the map. Knockdown onto Loki. 4am looking at Gen G. That might allow Entus Ace to initiate the fight they want on their terms now. They get the knockdown onto Xiaolu. 4am and now 2am. And Gen G can start to turn their attention over to 4am as well. Esther's going to take care of Senya, surely. It's a matter of time now. That blue, there we go. It's actually Taemin who gets the elimination. Now, time for Gen G to circle back and collapse onto the rest of the players south. But Forever actually taking a detour. He goes inside of water treatment, close to Loki and Pio. Now spotted. He gets Pio knocked down. Can he find a second one? Loki's in there. Esther and Taemin have got the higher ground. Taemin from above gets the illumination onto Forever. Gen G.
Oh, the grenade.
Oh, the grenade finished off the down Pio.
All right, 3v3. We got an all-Korea final here at the water treatment play at Gen G versus Entus Ace.
Paper Thin be shaking his fist like, come on, I always wanted this.
Paper's been dying to get the all-Korea final. Mickey's going to get taken very low, but he's going to trade out with Esther.
Gen G have got the high ground. Entus Ace, though, now got the numbers, 3-2. Esther gets eliminated, no revive there. Taemin and Loki. Taemin's been doing a lot of the work. 5 of 8 kills from this high ground position. But he's got to somehow get Loki back into the fray. He's actually not inside of the circle. I think he is doing the right thing, trying to buy some time, but he might have to help Loki here. Needs to spot Joy. Oh, man. And potentially Alpaca as well, who are looking down into water treatment, making it difficult for Loki to get out here. It's difficult enough as it is. The nade from Joy towards Taemin. If Taemin goes out here, no chance at all for Gen G. Needs to find 1 or 2 that are close by. Mickey's gone for a massive wrap up north. And if he gets this to complete, it's over for Gen G. Taemin's got to make something happen.
Yeah, there's just so much pressure on Taemin right here. He's got to be listening for these footsteps. Loki just kind of seeing if he can spot anything out, but he's really in a bad spot. Unless he can win this 1v1 duel with Alpaca, unfortunately, he's pretty much dead to rights here. You can see he's taken very, very low, but he's going to force Alpaca back, and Taemin
That'll do it.
is going to go down to Joy. It's all down to Loki now, and that's going to do it. He's going to get finished off by the blue, and a big, big win for Entus Ace. Miramar and Entus, name a more iconic duo.
Well, in the end, Korea take the top 2 spots. It wasn't a flashy finish by any means. I mean, I think for Gen G, the fact that they had to go into water treatment to deal with 4am made it a lot harder for them to have a better finish there towards the final fight with Entus Ace. And Entus Ace played that so well. You consider the move to the shack, then from the shack having to cross the road to take on 4am, and then from dealing with 4am to pushing up towards Gen G, which was not exactly a foregone conclusion. They had the lower ground. Gen G had the high ground, despite the fact that one was in water treatment. They maybe should have still done a bit better. So, well played by OG and Entus Ace. And that'll do them a world of good with 1 game to go today.
Absolutely, and you can't deny the fact, though, that 4am, despite finishing 3rd, they come home with 12 kills. They racked up a lot of points from this lobby and took a lot of those points away out of the pockets of everybody else. I mean, look, Genesis finished in 5th place, 0 kills.
I mean, you could almost say that I think for 4am, they don't even have to play tomorrow.
They might be. They might be good to go. I don't know.
The fact that they've got 7 games remaining still to play for 4am kind of goes to show how far ahead they are right now. And look, there's a lot of pick and votes for 4am.
Very spooky.
There's a lot of people who will be happy with how they're playing right now going into Oakland.
They're a very, very spooky squad. Very spooky. Very scary, very terrifying squad. Another terrifying squad is hanging out over on the desk, ready to talk to Caleris.
That was an interesting one. Disrupts the domination here for South Korea as they're able to topple the Chinese Titans that have established themselves throughout the day. Great stuff by OG and Entus Ace. They get the win. For me, my part, they did have a lot of the circles. They did favor OG and Entus Ace. That we've seen that kind of actually be a little bit of the story of their wins. But regardless, they get the win. They got themselves kills on the board. Much needed kills and points moving forwards in these groups.
Ace was desperate for a win. Gen G, this is going to make them feel better. Pio is able to get kills from the grave, apparently. But the reality is the top 2 teams still only got 4 more kills than 4am. Like, you combine those teams. That's how powerful 4am is right now. It's crazy to watch.
I loved how Ace, they pushed into that shack and managed to make it work. We could potentially have seen some more gatekeeping from them, but they made it work with the smokes and everything, and ended up taking the 3 versus 3 and 1. I love that.
It was risky, though, because VC could have definitely changed the entire play out of that game. You know, had that gone slightly differently, that grenade been a little more prepped.
Yeah.
Let's check out the highlights here for our first game of Miramar of the day. We have one more remaining later on.
Whoop.
Where did he go? Oh, he's over there.
Back in
I just want to fly.
Back of the bus.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes, sometimes,
Rocket Man.
sometimes crazy things happen. And not great for Poppins, but,
4 AM was basically just bullying people.
Yeah.
They just want to kill people. They don't care anymore. They farmed so many points. I mean, basically, they said it. The casters said it. They don't need to play tomorrow.
They actually got 65 points now. Oof. In 5 games.
Yeah, it's nutty. That is nutty. And you know they're going to do well in the next game, too. So
It's insane.
absolutely crazy. I mean, I think it's better than we'll see a lot of the teams who are eliminated probably won't even have that many points at the end.
Mostly, I will say 65 is our hypothetical kind of cutoff, but I think it'll be lower because, again, sponges and everything. Overall, extremely nice play for them. Gen G pushing FaZe and punishing them for the shots that they shot in earlier, as you said, Toffees, when we talked about it. But again, it's not looking good for FaZe, guys.
No,
FaZe is not being FaZe right now. They're playing super slow. I mean, you could see how they were getting held by Gen G and Na'Vi on the north side, and basically nothing came out of FaZe at all.
Here's the reality for FaZe. They have 14 points, right? When Liquid finished their first day of play that ultimately eliminated them from this tournament, they had 13. FaZe is almost exactly in the same position Liquid found themselves after a day of play, with a harder field of teams to deal with, and that worries me.
But again, there are sponges in the top, so their potential to reach top 16 is still pretty open, but they need to show up. They need to give us a FaZe Sunday.
And OG and Intersace get themselves the big points on this game, trying to propel themselves through these groups. It's been a little bit of a grueling day for them. However, the win does make up for it as we continue things on. We'll check in with, I don't know, it's going to be a surprise. Will it be the plane? Will it be the scoreboard? Our producer gives us the plane. We're there. It's plane time here on Miramar.
It was a good circle. I mean, that's what I like seeing Northern circles on Miramar. I think they're a lot of fun. There's a lot of options for playing it. I think most of the teams are going to be relatively happy with how they saw that first circle establish itself.
Yeah, I mean, we got a very northern circle. FaZe Clan, though, they dropped on the north side on Torre Ahumada. Ahumada.
Well played.
I mean, basically, they should have gone into a really good position. Sure, it was decent where they got to, but at the same time, they took a position they couldn't get out from. They were just getting gate-kept by the others.
What makes this exact zone, especially the last part of the zone, the fourth circle, is just a valley of death in between with the road because everything goes down. So whether you find yourself on the right side of the road, in the end, that, like how you've played before, that determines your destiny in the end.
We also saw the Circle 4, a hard shift towards the southwest.
Yeah.
That gave Ace a lot of space because they were in the high ground in the center of the compound, in the center of the circle there. Basically, the circle went away from them, but they still played the high ground very well, which we can see here.
As you look at those tracks there on the map below, you can see there's a temptation, I think, to maybe take a little away from 4AM because they'd have to move very far. But if you looked at the way that they moved, it was never stopping. They were constantly looking for things, always checking, and they moved almost as far, I think, on foot as everyone else sort of had to move in cars. And I like that proactivity instead of just sitting still and holding the top of a hill.
I mean, what I like with 4AM is even if they lose people, they just keep on going. They don't stop. They're not trying to get into just the placements like we can see with some other teams. They want to go for the kills.
And a big one for Ace. Ace definitely needed to put some more points on the board. They're running a little slow going into this one. I think they're in 10th place on the day with only 16 points. This is going to be a huge bump for them. I think 4AM will still walk away with second in the overall scoring, but that'll push Ace, I think, a little more comfortably into preparing for tomorrow. But they still need another big game.
A lot more. I think they're actually going to be close to being kind of safe here. They're going to get a few points, then it's going to be looking very good. 18 points, though. It's going to double their points or more for today.
I'm going to tell you, they're going to be pretty damn high, to say the least. 35 points yesterday, 34 points today. That is airing on...
Yeah, that is qualified.
That is qualified. That is pretty much qualifying. 18 points from this game here overall with 4 Angry Men. Another 17 points. They didn't even win.
No.
And they got themselves 12 kills to boot. They really are a very frustrated, annoyed group of individuals.
Furious.
That's what they do. Furious.
Hey, 8 very needed points for Na'Vi, though.
Yeah.
They were towards the bottom of the leaderboard. This will push them up a little bit. Hopefully, they can keep up and do a little bit better in the next game because, I mean, they need more points. They got 19 so far.
They're looking pretty good, though. 61 points is kind of on the cusp, though. I doubt that we're going to see 12, like 11, 12 teams past them after we're done after today, so they're looking very good.
W-Click showing even more consistency. They end up in 4th. This is a team that has been sort of quietly pushing themselves into what I think will be the top 16, as their consistency has been impressive.
This is a weird thing. All right, just bear with me here for a moment.
Okay.
It's very unlikely we see many, if any, teams break 3-digit numbers when it comes to this semi-final stage. However, 4 Angry Men could quite easily do that when it comes to, if they continue that performance on tomorrow. You can see OGN enters Ace there with 69 points. As you mentioned, almost assuredly qualifying themselves for the finals in Oakland.
Yeah, we saw VC with 93 points after 12 games in elimination here. So yeah, I'm expecting them to beat the 100. I'm looking forward to it. And the People's Champ, they are showing up. It's impressive.
Literally, 4 Angry Men in 3rd place after 5 games is mind-boggling to me. I know they were good, but man, this good.
It's unprecedented. If you think okay, this is a little bit different. Think about it. PGI 2018. OMG, with the way that they were able to dominate that day, where they got first, it was a little bit different to this, of course, but it's the same kind of ilk, the same kind of mind frame here that we're seeing from a team like 4 Angry Men. That if they continue this on, they could be a world champion.
I mean, right now they look like world champions.
And then the Pick'em skin is not going to be as valuable as you thought, because it's going to be a million plus people that's going to have it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Gentlemen, do you know what time it is?
Listening.
It's time for a change. We are heading into the listen-in here, but with a little bit of a twist.
It's more like PG listen.
이거 이번 쪽이 있을 거야, 닉야. 나 들겠다. 이번 쪽 진짜 있어. 가져야 돼. 기절. 나이스. 야, 이거 붙는다. 야, 너 보고 내가 붙어봐. 내가 계속 여기 있는다. 나이스. 여기 보인다, 핑. 원통에 있어. 원통 하나랑 원통 잠궈. 형, 원통 오른쪽 어디야? 원통 하나, 라스 하나 어디야? 몰라. 형, 원통 오른쪽 잠궈. 이쪽에 있을 거야, 닉야. 집중해. 야, 이거 여기 있다. 4번 원통 왼쪽 봐봐. 4번으로 빠졌다. 거기가 라스야? 아니면 뭐야? 한 명이야? 하나 더 남았어. 하나 더 50. 나이스. 천천히 들어와야 된다. 형, 그 워터 안에 내가 확실히 잡아줄게. 2대3 맞지 이거? 왼쪽이 2대3. 이거 원통만 잠가봐봐. 우리가 잠가볼게. 나 믿어. 왼쪽 가고 있어. 2대1. 나는 크게 도는 중. 도형 빨라. 빨란 거 하겠네. 야, 저기 인서클이야? 저기 아웃. 간다. 비켜. 안 보여. 폭 갈게. 저거. 확인을 안 돼. 원통 다시 잠고 올게. 너 하지 마봐. 비켜. 원통 지금 2대 때려놨거든. 기절. 라스. 아래. 라스 저거. 천천히. 왼쪽 감고. 나이스. 야, 갔다. 드디어 갔다. 잘했다.
That's right, one word is transcending language barriers. But overall, it's really weird. All of these teams listening to the same tense music in these listen-ins as well. A little bit more frantic there, though, for some of the moments as they're trying to deal with Gen G, but still very controlled.
Yeah, I mean, it reflected an excitement of a kind of a mediocre day coming to like sort of a climax for them. They were excited. They were really pushing for that win, and they executed it well. And it was not an easy one. Like, they had a huge rotation to get there. They crossed half the map, and they earned it.
Yeah, but they played well as well. You saw that up there. They were just putting up a long line there, make sure if someone gets knocked, someone else can just step it up and just get the trade straight away.
Yep. Especially getting the opening knock as well. They maintained so much control, had by far the upper hand, nearly gatekeeping Gen G in the end. There's extremely well executed by them.
For day 2, though, so far, we have one more game coming up. The East has absolutely dominated every single facet of today, it feels like. So it's an extremely strong performance from China so far. It's a strong performance from South Korea so far. Very strong.
I haven't understood a sound clip yet.
There's one more team, though. W-Click. They have been super strong today. They have been playing very well. Like, I am actually astounded by how good they've been playing today.
8 points per game on average over 5 games here, especially how well the Eastern teams have been playing. It's really nice to see they're pulling up like this. They pretty much put themselves in a position to be in the top 16, and I'm excited to see if they can lock it down here in the last game.
All right, gentlemen, time for a short break, and then when we return, we have more PGC coming at you. A huge thank you to some of our sponsors, of course, Plantronics and HyperX here representing at the PGC. We'll see you in a few moments for the final game of the day.
And we're back already. How quickly did that happen? I am Poor Source, and joining me is Xenox. We have, as they said, one final game here on Miramar for this BC matchup. The final chance for Group B teams to collect points and try to make their way into the finals.
I think the infantry, unfortunately, day one has cost them here 37 points with 1 game remaining. They would need a 15-kill win, and even then, they'd still be sweating tomorrow. It's going to be very tough for him. I mean, as I said it before, they probably barely even have to play tomorrow. In fact, when they showed the standings, of the top 8, Poro, 7 of them were from Group B, which is understandable. You would expect that. They've now played 11 matches. The only team that wasn't from Group B was 4AM, sitting in 3rd on 65 points, and they've got 7 matches to play. If they don't top the semifinals, I'd be staggered. T1 looking like cruise control mode at the moment, but of course they're going to play tomorrow.
Yeah, T1 13th place right now, 40 points. I mean, they're sitting in the same place as W-Click after today, Lazarus after their 1 day of playing. So they still fully in control of their own destiny. Like to see how they've been playing on Miramar. Gen G currently in first place, 70 points overall. But this is your Group B team. They're gonna have to sit there and watch tomorrow.
I mean, I would be very surprised if 70 points is not enough already. And of course, we've still got this final game. So for Gen G, and what this sort of shows us now is at the conclusion of this game, we get a kind of rough idea, Poro, in terms of point requirements for that 16th position, because you can see all 8 teams of Group B will be done after today, and it just gives you a rough idea as to what you're going to need.
Yeah, and you know, there's, as they said, I mentioned on the desk, I think Kalera said, you know, day 1 was the day of the Western teams. Day 2, really kind of turning things on for the Eastern boys. China, Korea, all doing really, really well today. We have not seen
So
much.
what you're saying is day 3 is going to be the day of the OCE team.
Oh boy. You know,
I have faith.
I'm not going to take that faith away from you, buddy. You can take that with you to the grave.
Wow, that's as straight as an arrow.
That is about the nicest plane you want to see coming across the south side. That's going to open up pretty much everything. South Pozo and San Martin now. El Azahar probably still in play. Anything north of that, you might have to travel a little bit farther. But this is not a bad plane here for your last day of the game.
As you said, last match of the day. Match 6 of day 2 of the semifinals. And for 8 teams, it will be their last game until maybe Oakland. Until next weekend.
Until maybe Oakland, until
you don't make it. And that could be your final game of PGC. I don't know. They don't know. They'll be watching tomorrow to find out, of course, when it is going to be A versus C. But now, final game of B versus C. Let's see how it plays out.
Oh boy.
Well,
if this doesn't
here.
just encapsulate the day that Navi's been having today, I don't know what does. Senya already going to get knocked. He should get res, though. He should be fine. There's nobody anywhere really near them. They're just off to the west of Pozo. Yeah, Pokemon going to go ahead.
He'll be fine.
Provide a little bit of support for his fallen teammate.
Navi inside of the top 8 currently, which is where you really need to be.
Dead center circle. All right.
Man, this is like the perfect game. We had the straightest plane path. Now, dead center circle.
You really can't ask for more than that. I mean, honestly, 100% playable again.
Yeah. If the players definitely can't complain about this one.
There we go. Senya has been healed up. Just make sure you don't run over any rocks that are too big. Don't run into any walls. He should be fine. You know, we talk about how, you know, he's got 1 knock now. He's going to bleed out faster later. Well, I mean, that hasn't really been a problem for them. They've been...
It's one of those things where it's not going to be an issue, but if it becomes an issue, I don't think that's the main reason for your concern there.
It's not an issue until it is.
If he's getting constantly knocked, then something's going wrong anyway, right? So you can't go back and blame that. So, look, they'll be fine. They'll find the first aid kit, painkiller. He'll be back up to full health, and they'll be jolly.
Check in 4 AM, extremely wide split. I mean, this is how confident they are, right?
They're farming.
When you're playing this well, when you have this many points, you basically say at the end, you know, we have faith in all of our teammates to the point where we can send them off solo and tell them, hey, don't die. Maybe get a couple of kills if you can, and they're going to do it. You know, and it also brings up an interesting thing tomorrow. 4 AM can basically decide, if there's somebody that they don't want to make it.
Oh no, you're not suggesting what I think you are.
Tell me I'm wrong. If they decide that there's somebody that they don't want to make it,
you're not wrong, but I feel like at the end of the day, 4AM would still want to play the matches out.
I would think so too, but it's
in preparation for Oakland. And
I'm just saying, it's a thing that could happen.
I know what you're saying, but
you know, I mean, not that there's anybody in this lobby that seems to have been causing 4AM any problem.
What you're saying is, don't bump into 4AM on the way back to the hotel tonight and upset them.
Yeah, maybe buy them an ice cream Snickers. Those things are delicious.
Okay, mind over at Picardo. This is a decent circle for Genesis. We'll see how it plays out. Ghost Gaming that potentially might come over the top of them on the hill. You can see McCoy close by to H-Win and Nerf. But phase 1 circles don't tend to dictate how the game plays out. Although, this will dictate how the game plays out because now Genesis just lost 2 vehicles.
Remember those tires we used to have?
This is cheeky from McCoy.
Look at me.
I like it.
This is going back to phase 2 when McCoy found out we were keeping stats on things like tires destroyed and windows broken. He has gotten some fantastic practice throughout the course of 3 phases on the best way to destroy tires.
Profi's still got a vehicle from what I can see on the map, but they've just lost 3 other vehicles. Oh, Silson close by to Bollier. 2 times spray at the M416. Gets him to half health, but that's all it will be.
If infantry is going to have a snowball's chance to make it to Oakland at this point, they need to come up with something magical.
Yeah, look, they'll have to. I think they would even have to break the PGC kill record of 15, which I think we've seen about 3 teams tie that figure so far.
McCoy getting K-Mine down to half health from long range.
Their day today, though, for infantry has been much, much better. But you have 8 points in 6 games. It's very unlikely.
That's a pretty low bar on how to get better.
Now, what I want to sort of touch on is those teams in the bottom 4, more so FaZe on 14 points. Right now, they're in the bottom 3 of the total leaderboard.
Ooh, that was real close. McCoy, they told him, okay, we're pretty much done with you shooting our tires, buddy. And he gets 2 quick headshots. Probably going to let him know we're done with you, buddy. But yeah,
tire popper himself, McCoy.
Yeah,
just gets a taste of his own medicine there.
His dome popped that time. But you're right. I mean, FaZe has been struggling so hard today.
If they were to go out in this game with 0 points, they'd be below Vendetta.
Yeah,
from yesterday.
I mean, so, considering how well they performed in group phases, and they just keep running into Na'Vi.
A lot of people have written off Vendetta. I mean, are you going to write off FaZe if they're going into tomorrow on 14 points?
Oh, you're comparing Vendetta to FaZe now?
Just saying.
Hey, just saying. Well, I'm just saying, hopefully FaZe...
Look, a big game is required for them here.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got 1 game at least to try and get a bit more of a leg up. Like, if they can get even 10 to 15 points here, which is obviously not out of the realms of possibility for FaZe, then they're right back in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the biggest thing too, right? Is that they had a rough day on Erangel, and usually if you're going to have a rough day on Erangel, you can afford to have a rough day on 1 of 2 maps. You can't afford to have a rough day.
Otherwise, if they get nothing from this game, I'm already prepared for the memes in chat of, hey, it's Team Liquid. We've saved you a seat on the plane.
Look, they expect it from me. They don't expect it from you.
I'm not an EU.
See, I've been good. I've been very good. I've been very.
I'm not EU or NA. I'm neutral.
You're neutral. Yeah, but about as neutral as the most non-neutral thing I could think of. Okay, the rest of Na'Vi trying to make it through Monte Nuevo. They're on the very far outside part of the circle. This is a slow rotation from them. This might be kind of indicative of the struggles that they've been having. Maybe deciding to come in a little bit late and maybe elect to play edges rather than trying to dive center.
It was a better game from Na'Vi on Miramar. You spoke about it actually before we got started on that Miramar game, whether they turned it around on the map, and so far they have. And we also spoke about 4AM. Would they continue the form here onto Miramar? And well, that was answered with a very solid yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Na'Vi, so far, this tournament has not been the greatest for them. And, you looked at a group phase.
People keep saying this, but
it hasn't.
They're fine.
They are fine, but this is not, when expectations are set so high for you because of how well you perform in your own region.
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Right now, they're doing enough. And if they can have another solid game here, they most likely will make it to Oakland. So let's take a step back a little bit here and see how.
Well, I haven't put them in the grave just yet.
Well,
I'm just
sounds
saying
like it.
that they're having a little rough sledding. All right, 4 a.m. Let's check in on the gang. They are all by themselves. As Loki gonna run right into Summer. Summer gonna send some shots his way, try to push him back.
Yeah, I think Loki just looking for position. Summer's already there. He'll fire out the warning shot saying, "Shoo fly, go away, don't bother me."
Yeah, Summer was ready to bail on this if he needed to, which is good heads-up play from him. But fortunately, it looks like he should be fine staying where he's at.
Gen G's not in a rush here. They've got the mountain just south of San Martin.
Yeah.
If it goes north for phase 2, then they definitely don't need to be moving too far anyway. They're just south of them is Ghost. But now they'll hold up and just see what the next 10 seconds will bring us for phase number 2 of match 6 of day 2 of the semifinals.
FaZe got a really nice split here going on across Picada. They got two. Oh boy, Mexi now going to be the only one inside of there for them. But this is going to be an interesting new circle as we have centered up on Minas Generalis. You have the entire north side here, Hacienda, everything north of the road.
This is going to cause a lot of rotations because from what we saw of the fluctuation of teams was on the western side predominantly. Now, of course, if we could see the map right now, it's literally just cars everywhere rotating.
Oh yeah, SKT is about as centered up as anybody is over there in the graveyard, just between graveyard and Minas.
And T1 taking shots at VC as well, so they're in a decent position. AHQ at Minas as well.
Yeah.
Not looking too bad either. Freaks on the move early will be coming in from the east. There's 4 Angry Men going in very low down at Los Leones. They're actually just right behind WClick's Herald. Xiaolu just being cautious. That's okay. But WClick aren't going to be doing any shenanigans. They'll keep moving. They'll keep rotating. It's better to get inside of this circle as quick as possible.
Yeah, Silzen and the rest of WClick already almost reaching the southern part, the southeastern side of this circle, so they should be all right. As we see Xiang Yang going to take some long-range shots here at Lin as infantry coming between a Freak of Freaks Fatal and the Force gang.
And AHQ as well at Minas. Like, they can get involved in this action if they want to. Milk set up on the high ground at the back of the city. Should be able to find a vantage point where he can spot infantry coming in. Now the shots come in from AHQ. Lin firing back over to Minas towards AHQ. Infantry get here.
Yeah, fortunate for them. They have left,
split, but they get there.
Yeah, they've left Longsker way off to the south here to try to cover their advance. But now Longsker is going to be all by himself here. You can see way off in the distance there, tiny little Longsker.
Oh, this is
FaZe.
Uh-oh, this is not good. Mexi's going to be pushing over to Jeff Locker and the rest of T1. He's got Uber beside him for a bit of help, a bit of backup. 8C and FaZe are still way further back, just south of Graveyard. They're not up close and personal here. And I don't even think they'll have an angle to help out against T1.
Jeff Locker got the Winnie with the scope. He's going to see if he can maybe land something here, but it looks like they're just going to reposition a little bit. Shots coming out from somewhere else, actually.
Yeah,
I think that's
Antis-Ace.
Antis-Ace.
See them there on your screen, just on the other side of FaZe, south of them. Here, La Bendita. Hot property, real estate around this area, and FaZe wanted to get a piece of it. They have. But the question will be if T1 want to be aggressive and try and flush them out, or allow them to just hold Uber and Mexi here. For now, they're not being too aggressive. They don't want to push out and clear them before the rest of FaZe come. And now, because of this, I wonder if the rest of FaZe, if FaZe and 8C, as this next circle pops, if they need to head over to this area, do they commit?
Yeah, T1 hasn't really, they don't seem too concerned about getting pushed here, as they have left Akada and Adder off to the north to send long-range shots towards the VC.
Navi's still rotating.
Chen, yeah, Navi still in rotation. 4 AM still in rotation, and Rumblers just now making it into the south side here. But Navi, it's like they're very, that's going to be lucky for them. The circle cuts hard north.
Yeah, it worked out very well for Navi. They kept rotating right into a circle. VC with a 2-2 split. All they try and group this up, expecting a lot of teams to rotate towards it. Looks like that will happen. Domoon, Summer on the move to group up with Tide and DJ Boy. Navi and the warehouses, they're in a decent spot for this circle. Gen G are also just on the other side of the road to VC. It's Ace, Ace, Force. But might as well group up together for this push into the next circle.
This is going to be nuts.
FaZe did group up, by the way, and T1 are keeping their spot. They're going to look at FaZe.
Force trying to make it just straight down the road. They're going to run.
Where are they going to go, though?
This
is where eventually they're going to have to split off Poro and find a spot.
There's not much up here to the north here as Gen G is repositioning, taking shots back towards VC. You can see Navi as well off in that. But look at that. Look at how empty we are up there. Force. How is this warehouse empty? They lucking out here a little bit.
This was the 2-2 split that VC had. They gave it up, expecting a team to do what Enters Force did. It worked out well in the end for VC, as we're going to see Alpaca knocked down by SR. And that's actually going to be our first death of the game, almost at the 14-minute mark of match 6. And Genesis just keeping an eye on this situation with FaZe and T1. This is desperate times for FaZe Clan.
Yeah, Genesis in a tough spot here too. I mean, they're on foot. They're outside a circle here on the edge, just as kind of in the same rough spot as FaZe and T1. T1 is elected to just stay in this position right here rather than trying to center up anymore. FaZe looks like they're kind of concerned. They haven't really been able to scout anything other than here. You don't want to move in blind. We also have a big bottleneck going over there at Junkyard in the southeastern part of this circle. It's got about 5 teams right on top of each other.
Yeah, that's Rumblers, Afrika Freaks, Infantry, Red Knids, as you said, over at Junkyard. So Junkyard Graveyard is where we're seeing a large bottleneck. The western east of this phase 3 circle. Long skirt spotted by Raspu, but it's Lin who gets the headshot. Lost HD finds a knockdown onto Lambu.
Yeah, this is, I mean, look, this is Infantry's last hurrah right here. They need to get points, so they need to turn their attention over here towards Red Cannons.
Oh, does he get 8C and Uber? This would be disastrous for FaZe. 8C's going to be knocked down, so is Uber. Nerf and H-Win pick up the double. And for FaZe Clan, it goes from bad to worse for the final game of the day. Do they remain on just 14 points? Mexi and Fuzzface are going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat to find some points for FaZe.
Look at the reposition coming out from a T1, though. They're going to find K-Mine. Helen just off to the side here on the cliffs here. Might be able to flush him out with the grenade. Nerf's going to throw a preemptive one to make sure they don't get pushed.
Finds a knockdown onto a cat. Every point matters.
Oh my God, this circle.
VC have got the phase 4 shift in their favor. Howland, high ground over Nerf, finally gets him with a spray. They're going to look to get the revive onto a cat. Ada has to go for that. Fuzzface is in the vehicle. He's on the move for FaZe to just try and get out of it. He's actually pushing onto a cat. We're going to see Profi knocked down. T1's actually split between both Genesis and the remaining force of FaZe Clan. So they haven't actually got all the same members committed to one fight. K-Mine finds the knockdown onto Jeff Locker. Ada's climbing to heaven, basically. What? 2 left for T1. I don't know if this is the spot to beat Ada. Hallen's got Genesis to deal with. Ada from heavens with the knockdown onto Fuzzface. The quick flush. 1 remains for FaZe Clan.
The reposition from Ada, and look at this. Win is out in the middle of freaking nowhere. He's just been sent to try to get into the circle by the rest of Genesis, I think, as Adder going to go for the res.
Mexi,
what are you going to do, buddy? This is it. You're the last one.
An eternity to go to even get inside of the next circle. Genesis will continue their fight with T1. They got the revive. So now it's actually 3, well, technically 2v3. Because T1 are really split from that earlier fight with FaZe. As you mentioned before, though, H-Win in a good position. North of this compound. He'll be able to spot as T1 try and move away from the south of this compound. There's the nade. He's got 1 more to deal with. It was thrown towards Helen, but it's short. It's actually well short. And now both Genesis and T1 moving together. I think we're going to see the end of Mexi here. Oh, he runs out of time, space, and life. FaZe Clan only 14 points going into tomorrow. Disaster.
Win's going to get a few shots in there. Profi's going to get Jeff Locker, get the flush. It's down to Helen. You can see Otter and Akkad way off in the distance. They have a little bit of a range here. Helen's going to just, I don't know what the hope was there. The plan to run across wide open terrain.
Genesis picking up a lot of kills in points from this exchange. Can with the knockdown onto Profi. 2v2 now remaining as we're seeing the pushing from Navi on the Ghost Gaming. Best launch has found some kills with a nade, and Dressel's all that remains. 11 health. Has a first aid kit, has a smoke. It was only 1 though. Throws it out. Red cannons are being eliminated. It's all happening
screen right now as the nade is thrown towards the concrete building of Na'Vi. Oh my goodness. The pre-nade from Best of Luck there.
Oh, that'll be the end of Drassel. Not, what?
Oh.
I really thought that would have been enough, but apparently not so.
I think he did too, because he is very, very lucky right here. Best of Luck gonna just throwing Molotovs here. He wants to go for the res, but he can't be sure that he's not getting pushed here. Yeah, I think Drassel just gonna hide. Try to stay alive.
He's got no one behind him. That's the fortunate part. Gen G do have a slight angle, but it's slight. The revive onto Aduzi takes place and is confirmed. Best of Luck, though, still concerned with Drassel. The underarm, you can see just the tags on Drassel in the background there, and it will be Xiaolu from 4AM who will send Ghost Gaming packing in 13th position.
In the interest of coming across completely unbiased here, Ghost Gaming having a terrible day today as well.
Genesis still inside of the blue, by the way. You can't even see them. There they go in 12th position. That's how far back they were. And now all that remains is the loot crate. This circle favoring VC heavily.
Microfry, the last remaining player up from Grumblers, as he's going to try to stay alive for a little bit longer. 4AM, still 4 strong, because of course they are.
The bloodbath, though. 9 teams, 31 alive at the 19.5-minute mark. And 4AM have only got 1 kill so far. How many more are they going to collect along the way? As W-Click move into the circle. Hill just above VC. Might have AHQ push on them eventually. Adder and Acad made it in the circle for T1. So they're still alive from that earlier exchange with both Genesis and FaZe Clan. Let's see that replay of Best of Luck, who was getting pushed from Ghost Gaming. It was the preemptive nade. This one right here hides behind the crate, and they had no idea.
Just roasted.
And Aduzi, I think, was just coming in for party tricks.
Yeah.
He didn't really do too much there.
He did not. He ate a little bit of grenade from his own buddy, but you know what? He got rezzed up. He's fine. As Na'Vi now turning their attention over towards Gen G. As we see Entis Force on the south side, working some terrain. They're basically waiting to see where this next circle goes, because I mean, look, if you look to the west, to the north, it is all open field here.
Someone's going to get lucky.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically...
It's how it's going to work here. Does Na'Vi get the feed for phases 6 and 7 and then don't have to move? Otherwise, if they do, I don't see a way for them to get much more from this game. They've got a decent split. Pokemon Lidoy up north with Senya, but this open field is just horrible.
I mean, you got to say, W-Click once again, 4 strong, still in such a great position in this new circle. They've got Herald is down. They should be able to get the res on.
Good position, but a lot of eyes on their position.
Yeah, a lot of eyes.
AHQ, 4AM, Microfry still alive for Rumblers. I mean, as you said, decent spot, but decent spots draw attention. And Entis Force are going to be pushing past T1. They've spotted AHQ. Micro gets spotted by Ragnar, though. At least W-Click deal with the solo play. Now we're into the final 8 teams. Placement points can be distributed. As CC taken low by Ragnar. They've got 4 kills. They've had a really good day so far, the Latam team. Can they finish strong here in what's going to be a testing time for them? Entis Force and T1 do battle. T1 are low on numbers, though. Only Acad remains. And now 4AM get involved against W-Click. SR with a knockdown onto Raibo. 4AM will continue to push on this position. It's not looking good for W-Click.
Yeah, they're getting completely pressed between AHQ and 4AM. I think it's down to just Silzen. As, yeah, they might be going for a res on Herald, actually. So, I think that might be Ragnar.
Raibo's done for, though. Silzen with a knockdown onto CC. 4AM keep pushing. Once they're done with W-Click, it might be AHQ after that. Somehow Silzen manages to stay alive, gets behind the rock. CTG can't believe it. He's wondering, how is he still alive? Now he's not anymore, but the points go over to SR from AHQ. But 4AM won't be done with this, as finally Acad goes down. Entis Force took their time, but the threat of T1 has been dealt with. And now they can continue to pinch up towards AHQ and W-Click. As it's really just these teams on the east feeding on each other. VC can't get involved, Na'Vi can't get involved, and Gen G can't get involved out to the west.
Yeah, I mean, VC has just been hanging out in this compound for quite some time. I gotta imagine they're probably sitting on maybe 1-2 kills at most. I mean, they've just kind of been fortunate in getting the circle luck, but unfortunate in the fact that everything is going on around them.
Pubg Global and Senya on the move. They're getting shot at from VC, along with Xiaolu of 4AM, who has held back anchor position up north. Wow, they're going for a massive wrap up north. You can see pushing onto Xiaolu. Senya knocked down. Pubg Global has made it across behind the rock, and he's safe there for now because there's no one behind him. Does have to be careful though. A nade from Xiaolu. This is the only one he's got. Xiong Jang with a knockdown onto SR. That pinch now taking place onto AHQ, who's only down to Milk remaining. For W-Click, they've got Ragnar and Harold. And 4AM, wow, they're sending just about everyone over to Pubg Global.
It's a pretty clean shot. So Entus looks like Entus Force is actually going to turn away from pushing up to the north, and they're going to retreat, head back down towards the south, as 4AM is completely concerned with Pubg Global here. They've got him pinned and suppressed at this rock. Not really much he can do. He's going to try to reposition a little bit. But yeah, as you said, I mean, it's everybody's kind of got their own little territories here that can only take these long-range shots at each other. There's not really much else they can do without putting themselves at, you know, big risk.
Pubg Global can actually sort of continue to push along that ridge and not be seen by 4AM or even maybe VC.
Somehow W-Click still has.
Oh, they still think he's at the rock
here. Yeah.
Is it because of the smoke that he threw over there? Maybe to bait 4AM, it might have worked. Entus Force playing this careful. Oh, nice knockdown from Domu of VC. Shots were also coming from Entus Force too. You can see Bestaloch taking shots at Entus Force. Phase 7, I kind of suspect it's going to continue to go on to VC, as it has done so since Phase 2.
You would imagine, and there you go. VC is laughing. They needed something like this to happen, though. They came out yesterday with 27 points, so they needed a bigger day.
Do they even have a single
today.
kill, though? I mean, you can get fed like this, Poro, but if you're not finding kills from this scenario, it doesn't do a whole lot unless you can sort of come out of this compound at Phase 7, 8, and 9, and then find kills afterwards. But it's not going to be easy going against the likes of 4AM and the way they're playing. In saying that, the fact that Na'Vi and Gen G are just in horrible, horrible positions out west, VC should be able to clean up on them. Maybe even Entus Force. 4AM have pushed down to the old position of Pubg Global. They're sort of creeping in behind him. W-Click still hold out to the far east. And, well, that's the end of Poker.
Still alive.
How is he not dead? There we go.
All right, there we go.
It took a little longer than expected.
All right, Gen G got in vehicles, try to send it a little bit further into the fields here. They're going to stay alive. There goes Poco getting finished off. VC still 4 strong. They can't seem to find any downs.
No kills
onto the Gen G squad just yet. And yep, that's what we were talking about. No kills.
And there's not many kills that they're going to be able to find from this spot until probably at this moment now at Phase 7. Because everyone's starting to push closer towards them. Gen G have got to push out to the open, so does Na'Vi. But then 4AM are the ones who have got a slightly higher position, and they're the ones getting the knockdowns. You saw Forever get a knockdown onto a doozy.
Roasted right now.
Harold getting involved, gets the elimination onto PO. Taemin as well is going to perish to Bestaloch. Who finds a knockdown onto Loki. Give this man a nade, and he can do just about anything. A doozy will be finished off, and there goes Bestaloch as well. A nice effort for Na'Vi.
There you go. Big things popping from the Na'Vi boys.
It's going to be difficult from there. Harold's making his way down the hill. Xiaolu spots him, and you think one more shot will do it, and it does. Can they confirm him, though? It's Tide who steals it for VC from 4AM. And that was their first kill of the game. As we're down to 5 teams remaining. Entus Force. You think it'll be 4 now? Ragnar's gone.
Yeah, he's going to go down to the zone there. 5 kills for 4AM, as you said. Now they still have the high ground. They have to worry about Entus Force, though. VC just right in the middle, and they're just... Yeah, they're going to get the circle again. Why not?
Certainly going to help out Entus Force. They don't have to move from Phase 8 for now. Gen G are in no man's land.
Oof.
They will be eliminated in 4th position. ZGG picks up the kill for 4AM. 7 kills. Just about ready to set a record, you'd think, here at PGC in terms of points gained over 6 games. Forever with a knockdown onto Indigo. As VC just sort of sit in the middle and watch on as 4AM and Entus Force take pot shots at each other from across the canyon.
The thing is, going against...
Summer gets involved.
Oof. When this 4AM VC fight breaks out, 4AM's been fighting through everybody. There, you can see the red helmets, low vests, low everything. Same with OG and Entis4s. Meanwhile, VC has just been hanging out in this compound, so they probably have a little bit more in the way of armor and utility to work with. Ooh, but that's really close there. They're going to actually let him push up here.
4AM pushing into the compound. DJ Boy with the nade, primes it, ready to send it out into the smoke. Wayless for the high ground. Oh, that was pretty good. He gets the knock. Oh no, he knocked himself down. Wayless, that's just not it. But now ZGG's getting taken very low. VC doing well. Entis4's trying to third party. They don't care who it is. 4AM or VC, they just want to pick up kills. Nate's thrown towards the rock of Xiaolu. He's going to be low as well. 4AM obliterated from VC Gaming. Now Entis4 enter the compound with a hello knockdown onto Tide. 3 left for VC.
Can Entis4 get 3 wins on Miramar in 4 games? They have 4 strong. They're pushing in. They have 7 kills already. What else can they get done here?
7 kills. Entis4 have bided their time. VC have dealt with 1 threat from the north. Can they deal with 1 from the south? Summer holds the angle. This might go all the way right down to the final minutes, considering we've got these buildings in play. But in terms of center of the circle, it favors Entis4 more than VC. VC will have to move. DJ Boy on the roof can at least get a bit of high ground. He spotted Seong Jang moving over to Doya.
Such a good spot from DJ Boy here if he can make something happen.
No nades though, but he does still have 3 smokes. Oh, if he had a nade here.
Be huge. He does have that molly, so he can do a little bit of area control.
You want to save what utility you have though for the final moments. Domu at the back. 1 nade for Indigo. Oh, he spots DJ Boy on the roof. Now that position's been given away. Summer trying to relocate with the smokes. Seong Jang, though, final nade for him. Does he make it count onto Domu and Summer? Or at least one of them. Oh, he gets Summer! Too slow to move. Domu's low as well. DJ Boy has to get this Molotov out to try and move Seong Jang away from those hay bales, but he just doesn't quite land it on the right spot. Now he uses the SLR. That blue tractor hasn't got a lot of real estate, but it's got enough. And now it's time for DJ Boy to use these smokes. Oh, he got the res, yeah, you're right. Smart. And Domu from the res gets the elimination. 3v3, make it 3v2, because Summer gets Doya. Entis4 now on the back foot. Now they're the ones under pressure. And VC, their tail is up.
This fight is completely turned on its head as Domu has now got a great position here. He's going to get them down on a Kale. And that's going to be 1 more left. Indigo in a 1 versus 3 with a knockdown onto DJ Boy, who was on the roof. He's got 2 left to deal with. Summer and Domu, both low. Flash grenade thrown out. Trying to change the position now. Summer holds at the hay bales as Indigo trying to use the smoke. He's really close to the center. Doesn't have to move necessarily far. He wants to try and get rid of DJ Boy because he's giving information to his teammates of Summer and Domu. Flash grenades thrown out towards Indigo, but VC don't want to push onto his position. He holds the angle. He finally gets rid of DJ Boy, finally gets rid of that information. This is so rough here for VC Gaming. Although it is a 2v1, Indigo could easily make this happen here. And it looks like, oh no, this is low. Bad. VC.
He's very low, 62 health, not that much. Oh, well, no, he thought he was sitting in the corner, and VC come away with the win. Indigo, confused at the end, thought they were inside the building, hearing the footsteps and the movements, thought they were in the corner. It was a nice pre-fight. It was a nice idea, Poro, but in the end, VC played that so well.
That half-second mistake was all it took for VC to come in clutch there. They do even manage to get 7 kills out of this, despite sitting in that compound for so long, only getting with nothing really happening around them. They managed to pick up all of 4AM and the majority of Entis4 there to come home with a nice little 17-kill win for themselves.
Can I just say, that has now confirmed for the entire day today, either a Chinese or Korean team has won every single game.
Day of the East.
The Day of the East.
Day of the
has
East.
arrived, and wow. I mean, what a finish. VC Gaming, it was almost like topsy-turvy. At one point, VC looked like they were dead in the water, and at another point, then Entis4, and it just kept switching back and forth towards the end, and in the end, VC come in on top.
Really interesting final circle. Really good fight there at the end. But again, you can't take, I mean, once again, top 3, 4AM again, 7 kills. This team, what is this? Is this a good day for 4AM, or is this what we can expect for the rest of the tournament?
I mean, we saw it from them in the group stage as well, so it's not too surprising. And for me, they go into Oakland, and let's be real, they're going to obviously
Oh, yeah, they're making
it out. We don't have to sugarcoat it. They go in as now as one of the favorites. I think 4AM and TSM are probably my two favorites to win PGC right now because of their play style. And I think that's definitely a given in terms of the way that they've been playing. It's deserved, right?
I mean, they play absolutely fearless, and I mean, it's just so dominant. But I mean, look, we could talk about 4AM forever. You also got to give shout out to again WClick. Final game here, they pick up another 7 kills. I mean, this is
fifth position, so another top 5 finish. They've been consistent.
It's just an absolute coming out party for the LATAM region and for WClick themselves. But real quick, before we send it down to an interview, we're going to take us a look at some highlights.
I love me some highlights.
I'm here to cover for Toffees with the highlights here as we check in on Genesis. A bad day overall for the North American teams.
And what about for FaZe Clan?
FaZe Clan.
14 points going into Sunday. Rough. Well, that's an understatement. Adder with some interesting positioning. Right.
Yeah. You know, and maybe a little bit hard on Navi. They did have actually a 42-point day yesterday in the AB group, so they managed to collect a few more points in this one as we check back on Genesis, finishing up this fight.
T1 played this well. I mean, you've got to understand, they had a 2-2 split against 2 different teams. They had to deal with Genesis from one side, then they had to deal with FaZe Clan from another side. Best of Lots, of course, and a doozy. It's like that guy when you try to help, but you're just making things worse. That was a doozy there. 4AM biding their time. It wasn't as flashy this game in terms of the early on, but they favored the position, and from there they got rewarded as the game carried on. Best of luck, as I said before in the cast, give him a nade and, well, anything can happen there for Na'Vi. But when you are playing from this sort of position in the wheat field, unless it finishes there and everyone's in the wheat field, and it's fair game, otherwise you are going to be prime target. And of course the finish between, and that was horrible for Wayless, who made it himself.
Bad luck.
Forever went down. Yeah, look, that was.
I mean, you know, I was a little nervous here that VC allowed 4AM to push into their compound pretty as easily, really, as they did. But fortunately, things ending up working out pretty well for them as they end up flushing out the 4AM boys before turning their attention over to Entus Force. The Entus Force, Entus Ace, all Miramar has belonged to these two teams, and you felt 4 strong Entus Force going into this. You felt like they had it.
Yeah, I mean, even down to the 1 versus 2, the 2 members of BC were relatively low enough that Indigo could have got a quick headshot transfer onto the 2 targets. But BC Gaming, while they've continued to surprise a few here at PGC, I think it's fair to say not a lot of people maybe even thought they would be in the semifinals, but they pick up the win for the final game of the day. And of course, though, now they sit and wait in terms of tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they... I mean, they had only 27 points yesterday, but that's enough for us today. We want to hear an interview with at least one very happy, angry man from 4AM. So we're going to toss it down to Rachel with an interview. Rachel, take it away.
Thank you, guys. I hope they're happy. I'm here with ZGG, and 4AM picked up 2 chicken dinners today, a bunch of very nice finishes, and you, ZGG, were the top KDA right now in the tournament. So I want to know how you're feeling about your performance so far.
他说你们今天打得特别好，还有你们吃到了2盘鸡，还有你个人的杀数是很高的，你这觉得怎么样？
还行吧，就运气有，指挥的好，所以说打得比较好。
So it was okay. We had a lot of luck, and then we performed well.
Well, that is the understatement of the century. We got a chance to listen into you and your team communicating in Game 1, and I have to say, across the board, we agree. Beautiful communication, very clear, very calm. So tell me about your communication strategy as a team.
他说你们今天打的时候，你们的沟通是蛮好的，还有你们的默契度是非常好。你们是怎么做到的？
这个就是长时间打出来的默契吧，别的也没啥的，就是默契。
So it was just a normal chemistry we always have. So it wasn't really special, anything special. It was just the chemistry we always had.
So when you say you guys have great chemistry, do you consider your teammates close friends?
那你说你们的默契度是很高的，那你觉得你们的队员是就像是你的朋友吗？
都是兄弟。
World brothers.
I love to hear it. Now, you're brothers in times of success and brothers in times of failure as well. What happened on Sandhawk?
他们说你们今天打得非常好，可是在3号你们不是打的，是有一点差吗？是那在3号你们打的时候是有什么问题？可以说一下吗？在3号。
Did okay.
那总有运气不好的一把嘛，没办法。
So he says it's again it's just the luck. We were out of the luck. There's no other way. We can.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll call it luck up to the last ones too. But winning, losing, you guys have the biggest fan community out here. They came out in force to support you. So I want to know, why do you have so many fans, and what do you want to say to them?
那今天赛场你们有很多的中国粉丝来了，嘉颖你们你觉得怎么样？为什么你们会有这么多的粉丝来看你们呢？
因为他们爱我们吧。
It's just simple. They just love us.
Of course, who wouldn't love you guys? An excellent performance, a charming character. We can't wait to see more from you guys tomorrow, but for now, let's send it back up to the analysts and check out the rest of the day.
Damn, that's ZG, a lyrical wordsmith, to say the least there with that interview. Thank you very much. Obviously, 4 a.m. and get themselves a big amount of points here when it comes to their first day for the group stages. But VC Gaming get another win on the board, 17 points going their way. It was China all the way today with a slight disruption from South Korea, but China smashed today.
They did, and I take a little bit of an issue with the interview in the context of like it's just luck. But 4 a.m. they played whether or not they got the circles, whether or not they got the rotation. It was insane.
You know what though? He's gotta keep the brand.
He's trying to stay low key.
They are angry. You gotta see that. He's very laid back, and I love that the respect he's throwing there. It's very nice to see.
I'm gonna tell you something. They might have been lucky, but luck doesn't give you 77 points.
No, not in the
It does not give you 77 points.
Look at the gap.
You only get 77 points by playing like gods.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they really were. It was mind-blowing to watch them play. The final standings on that last game sum up what we saw all day today. 4 Angry Men, VC, W-Click, who's in third, had a phenomenal day.
I'm sorry, I'm hijacking his interview. None of that interview did justice to how well they played. As you're mentioning, Froz, their 77 points after 6 games is phenomenal by 4 Angry Men as they take the top spot so far today, almost assuredly guaranteeing themselves 100% into the finals in Oakland. Massive stuff coming from them.
I mean, look on the left side. It's all Eastern, except for one team, W-Click. They got second most kills today, 30 kills in total during the 6 games here.
I'm very impressed with them. They kind of did it quietly. The big talk was about the Eastern teams, and they just played their game. When they didn't get kills, they got good placement. When they got tough placements, they got good kills. They did exactly what you want to see out of a team, making sure that they're in the top 16.
I mean, even zeroing out on one of the Erangel games, they still did this well.
It's very impressive play from them, everybody on the left side.
Yeah, they were a little bit in the shadow of the other teams, of course. 4 AM taking home 2 victories. VC taking home 2 victories.
Gentlemen, do you know what time it is?
Time to see.
Listening time.
No, it's not. It's time to see the top 24 here to figure out exactly how everything is shaping up amongst these groups. Most importantly, pay attention to those from Group B. You can already see there, VC Gaming 79 points. This was one of the teams I was slightly concerned about coming into today, but they blasted today as well. 4 Angry Men from Group C is in second place.
They qualified.
Look at W-Click though. 4 points behind TSM. And people were saying TSM was playing really well.
And this is what terrifies me. The bottom right, FaZe, a team that a lot of people picked to win this thing, has 14 points. But tomorrow, they have to play with TSM. They have to play with 4 Angry Men. They have to play with W-Click. All of these guys are point sponges.
Very important. Because B has concluded all of their games, the one team that is most scared right now is Infantry Gaming in 15th place with 39 points of NJ.
So we're extremely close to the 65-point market. This is what you want to beat if you want to make sure yourself are in the top. Here on the left side, though, Rumblers are the closest, but they're looking extremely safe. We need 8 teams to pass that. It's very unlikely we're going to see that many. So The left side, our top 8 right now looks extremely safe. 95% for all of them to be through already.
And that's very interesting because there is so much from Group B there. Group B has really shown up. It looks like, unless we see massive, massive points come out from Group C, that there is the potential, and A and C, I should say even, sorry, is that a lot of those teams from Group B could potentially be going through to the final. A disproportionate size relative to 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
I mean, basically, if you looked at it, 9 to 24th, it's only A and C almost.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that the point sponge is going to be a problem tomorrow. There's teams that are essentially qualified or a couple of points away from doing so, and they're going to come out, and I know that TSM, like, their style is, hey, we're in front, let's just smash some skulls.
Right.
And I think some teams are going to do that, so it is going to be very hard for the catch-up teams to do that with the lack of points available.
Well, I baited you earlier, but now it's time for that listen-in here for our final game on Miramar. Let's go.
边机肯定还有一个，要么 WCK， 要么歼击。我马路上拉了一个，
确定吗？
对，
看到。
我去董木那了。董木，夏天你们俩3、2、1，吃雷，走雷，躲一下。别急，躲过来，左边来，打药，我能救。打了，我再打。
不知道烧到没？哎，这个人能打吗？拖拉机那个。
别急，我们在扶人。耳朵，你能给他们房子封个烟吗？对面的，能打3F的。我们脸上补颗烟，夏天。对，烟我没烟了。他补了，夏天耳朵这边补了。要不要倒一个？
但是，别急。3打3是吧？
我也打了。
还有一个在哪儿？
2层房，2层了，应该在2层楼，我在拖拉机了，别急。耳朵，你可以上他房顶。
我能上吗？
对，还有
在1楼，别急。我打个药。
怎么打？
牛逼！
还有一个。别急。我打药。2层2楼，别急。2楼，他不带圈。我帮你锁雷。
他翻下来了。
没事，慢慢来。在左边。董哥，别急。
别着急，你们俩一起，不用找他。
别找，
就在我脚底下。
退回来，没事。
就在我脚底下。
董梦往他脚下丢个闪。房子背面。
就在我脚底下。
还有吗？再丢个闪。
没闪到他。
别急。继续丢闪。没了。别急，我认没事。抢左，房子左边。
正门。
左边。
对，就这儿，瞄着。
脸上。左边。几个。3个。
That's right, we're back here for the PGC, and that was VC Gaming in the very end. But let's look forward into the future. Tomorrow, we have, of course, A and C playing against one another. All of these teams have already played themselves. The 6 games tomorrow, they round out how their points are going to be accumulated going into Oakland. It's another stacked lobby here, guys. What are we excited to see?
I mean, you got to look at the teams in the bottom right now. It's AFF, you got Vendetta, you got FaZe, Ghost, Sun Sisters. These are the teams that need to perform really well tomorrow.
So for me, it's exciting, of course. There's teams in the bottom, but we have had these sponges throughout this whole thing. So tomorrow, potentially, it's going to be easier to get into the top 16 that we formerly projected. I'm excited to see if we're going to see a FaZe Sunday. If not, it's going to be looking very scary for PEL.
I mean,
you're right, Toppies.
No, Frost casually listed FaZe in this group of catch-up teams. I mean, that's big news. The fact that we are on the cusp of potentially losing FaZe after losing Liquid last weekend is